The building, new and white, is a cliff of ferroconcrete at the junction of two main roads. The site, one reflects, must be of enormous value, and the cost, had it not been acquired by compulsory purchase, prohibitive. Within there is a lift, not working, and an austere staircase which climbs past a succession of splendid aluminium windows. On the second landing there is a board pinned with dignified notices about rambling clubs, leave rotors, retrospective pay awards, and a furtive note, almost overlapped, deprecating the continuous theft of toilet paper from the staff lavatory. One treads with humility, if not guilt, in this priesthood of civil servants. There are novices in jackets which do not quite match their trousers, lay brothers in ready-made suits with leather elbows, and here and there monks with authoritative faces disappearing through doors marked private. This is a hierarchy, and one knows it at once. Here are the trolleys bearing cups without saucers, and here are the trolleys bearing cups with saucers. One looks for signs of human foible, a stain of lipstick on a china cup, a fag end in a fire bucket, but no. Even the missing toilet paper, one feels, can be explained. On the fourth landing, there are several doors marked private, and one in particular with nothing marked on it at all. Outside it, there is a trolley and an oval tray with a teapot, a milk jug, and a single unchipped cup and saucer. One stares uneasily. Here, one feels, is the abbot himself, and one is right. It is the office of F.K. Gaunt, Her Majesty's Inspector of Taxes for Cursiter Fields District.
Let me see now. You say it came this morning?
Yes, sir.
And the postmark?
8 p.m., 25th Dagenham.
Let me have it.
Oh.
Now, let's see. Ordinary cheap buff envelope. Sheet torn from a kid's exercise book. Long hand and ballpoint pen.
And no perfume.
No. No perfume.
But an interesting message.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like a quid for every anonymous letter I've received. I've done 40 years in this game, and I'm sorry now I didn't stick 'em in a scrapbook. What a catalogue of envy and spite it would have made. Most of them don't repay investigation. Little outbursts of malice from people with trivial minds. Do we know Jones has a seaside house, or that so-and-so keeps a flat and a mistress in Curzon Street, you know, that sort of thing. And businessmen start boasting in pubs and clubs and lodges about how little income tax they pay, and that causes jealousy, and sooner or later you get one of these. There's seldom anything that can't be answered by a smart aleck accountant. But there's always the odd one out. The one that brings a handsome harvest. You don't really like it, do you?
No, sir.
Well, nobody likes anonymous letters. But we can't just chuck them in a wastepaper basket. There's something I'd like you to remember, East. Something you're in danger of forgetting. We are not concerned with morals or ethics or human behavior, only with the collection of revenue. All that rot you were talking the other day about savage back-duty settlements didn't sound like a tax officer. We work for the Treasury, East. That's our side of the fence, and unless you remember it, you won't make much of an inspector. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, let's take this note carefully. The handwriting's deliberately disguised. In one or two places it slopes backwards, and that's a style that's common to women. But there's something else that's phony about it. You better watch Toby Dixon of Oasthouse Wood. He's cheating you proper. Just ask him about the bank account in Marylebone. He ain't what you think. Oh. Now, this is supposed to be the letter of a semi-illiterate, but is it? With im, spelt without an H, and a difficult word like Marylebone is spelled correctly? Doesn't ring true, does it?
No, it doesn't. And even if people talk like that, they don't often write like it.
You're improving, East.
Does it matter who wrote it?
Everything matters. If there is a case, you want as complete a picture as possible. And look at it this way. Supposing you knew or suspected the writer was someone associated closely with Dixon, someone with knowledge of his affairs, wouldn't that give the letter extra weight?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Someone like an employee or a wife?
A wife?
I could tell you some stories. Have one?
Oh, thanks.
You better sit down. We'll have a look at the file. That is the file, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Dixon. Toby Dixon. I don't recall the name. It's not one of mine, is it?
No, sir.
What sort of a mess is it in?
I've had the file 2 weeks, and there's been no occasion to work on it, but I'll tell you what I can.
Oh, that damn view.
So?
Out there. You'll be surprised what a distraction it is. Once those damn derricks start shifting cargo, you can't drag your eyes away. I tried moving my desk, but it didn't do any good. I wonder if it distracts the staff.
I doubt it. Most of us aren't as high up as you are.
Oh, of course. Now, what about Toby?
Yeah. Tobias Frederick Dixon. The file begins in 1946, when he left the army. He set up a men's outfitting shop in Macedonia Street on the strength of his gratuity and a loan from his father. Recently opened a branch in Iron Founders Square. Calls himself the Paris-London Luxury Men's Store.
Swanky.
Yeah, very.
I know the one in Iron Founders Square. Candy-striped beachwears, suede jerkins, and Italian suits. Teenage muck.
That's where the cash is today, sir.
I dare say. The accounts are made up to the 30th September each year. Everything seems to be here. Let's look at the annual returns. Wife, 4 children, 2 of them babies. Mother-in-law claimed as dependent relative. Substantial life assurance. Owner-occupier of the Squirrel.
That's the Osthouse Wood address, a private estate about 3 miles from Esher in
Classy?
Surrey. Well, I'm told there's some good property there.
I'll see when we come back then. At the moment, I'm more interested in the accounts. They're prepared by a bloke named Cobb. Cobb. Name rings a bell. J.T. Cobb, Intercontinental Accountant. What the devil's that?
God knows. A few of his jobs come in here. We don't much care for him.
I know the type. 6 months bookkeeping evening classes, adverts in the local rag, books collected in a plain van, and 20% on all income tax recovered. Do you believe in instinct, East?
Instinct?
Yes, a feeling about things.
I suppose so.
Something wrong here. I'm certain of it. You see those files on that table? Well, there are about 20 cases there. 20 cases I'm going to investigate. In most of them, I've no real ground for suspicion at all. I just feel they're wrong. And you know something? My instinct will be right in nearly every case. I'll get a settlement out of 3/4 of them.
That could mean that 3/4 of the taxpayers are always on the fiddle.
Yeah, it could well mean that. Most of the cash traders milk the till. You know it and I know it, and the board knows it. And yet there's no real attempt to nail them. They expect us to clear the current stuff and do the inquiry work as well. I'll tell you something, East. Give me the staff and a really wide authority, and I'll get you £100 million in back duty.
I'm quite sure you would.
What's the net annual value of Dixon's house?
70.
Fair size. What did it cost?
We don't know. He bought the site for 700 quid in 56, built the Squirrels and occupied it late in 57.
So we don't know what he spent?
No.
You live at Thames Ditton, don't you?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, we like it.
Not far from Esher?
Not far, why?
Well, next time you take the wife out, have a run up to Osthouse Wood. Get a look at the Squirrels. Smell around a bit. Try to form an impression. Put yourself in Dixon's place and ask yourself how much it would cost to live there. Well, you know the kind of thing. If there's a double garage, it's 10 to 1 the wife's got a Momo. Or you might see a gardener there, or a nanny for the kids, or a hardcourt at the back.
Or even a swimming pool.
Yes, even a swimming pool. It's invaluable in these affairs to know the style a man's living in. The case starts off in the right key, and we know what we're talking about when it comes to drawings.
We're not even sure that there is a case.
Pull your chair around here, East. We examine these trading accounts together. I've not yet seen them, but I'll comment on them, and I'll ask you to listen. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Shh. Just look at that. Did you ever see such a filthy mess? J.T. Cobb at his worst. Badly typed. No comparative figures for the previous year. Spelling errors. A ridiculous certificate that has no value whatever. And a large ink stain with the word sorry penciled against it.
Behind the shop in Macedonia Street, there is a small parlor, now used as an office and a storeroom. The walls are lined with shirt boxes and suits hanging in polythene covers. There is a fanlight protected by an iron grill, and April sunlight slants down in warm bars across the faces of a man and a woman. The man is corpulent and expensively dressed, with a bow tie and shoes of an uneasy red glint. His face is flushed with emotion. The woman, middle-aged, wide-hipped, and with a silver artificial curl falling on her brow, is weeping. The cheeks are streaked with mascara. Her name is Roberta Cooper, and, among other things, she is Dixon's clerk.
So I sat here after you'd gone, just staring at the desk and playing about with the bits and pieces on it. And I couldn't think of anything but you and me. I heard the staff go and it began to get dark, but I didn't move. I just sat there thinking about the times we'd had. And I couldn't believe it had really ended.
Now, take it easy, Dax.
Oh, I don't know how long I sat there, but then I got up and I switched on the lights. And I caught sight of myself in the mirror. Oh, I looked awful, Toby. Yellow and puffed up with crying. I looked old.
Easy,
That's
easy.
what you've done. You've made me old.
But you knew it had to end.
Old.
What's all this in aid of?
I'm telling you. I opened the safe to put the books away, and there it was, the pain-in book, you know, the one for the Marylebone account. I picked it up and I turned the counterfoils and...
And what?
I wrote them a note.
Then?
The tax people.
What?
I wrote them a note telling them about the account.
You did what?
I don't know why I did it, Toby. I wanted to get back at you somehow. I wanted to hurt you.
You've hurt me, all right. You've hurt me where it hurts most.
Why did I do a terrible thing like that? Why did I write to them?
You tell me.
Oh, Toby, darling.
I don't understand. We've had good times together, ain't we? I'll give you a nice bit of cash, nice clothes. We knew it couldn't last.
I didn't want to lose you.
Fancy shopping me to them ruddy
Oh, I'm
bloodsuckers.
sorry, Toby.
Well, it's a bit late now. They say the bloke up there's real hot stuff.
I only told them about the account at Marylebone.
Only? Do you know how much I got there?
Oh,
Let's see. It's just after 11. They'll be open now.
oh, the pubs.
The bank. I'm drawing the money out. Right down the last 8 now. I'm going round to Cobb.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. Toby's no good to you. Get someone first class.
Listen, that crooked geezer's had 200 nicker a year out of me. Now he's going to work for it. Oh, it's all right, Dax. Really, it is. Oh, Toby will get out of it. We just got to be careful, that's all.
What a tam you're getting on you.
Yeah. It's a terrible thought, isn't it?
What?
You know, tax blokes. Even now they might be sniffing around.
Turnover's running at about 20,000. In this trade, I'd expect a minimum of 25% gross profit. On some of the stuff they sell, they get as much as a third, but I'm prepared to concede that clearance sales and the effect of soiled, unsaleable goods might reduce it overall to the 25. But what do these accounts show? A gross profit on trading of 3.5 thou. And what percent is that?
35, about 18 something.
Well, there you are. Now take the stock figure. It's in here at 1,850. That's pretty low, you know. This class of goods isn't cheap. He'd have to carry a much higher stock than that if he's going to turn it over at a rate sufficient to satisfy demand.
I agree.
There's either a large undisclosed reserve here, or Dixon didn't take stock at all, and it's the lowest figure Cobb thinks he can get away with. You noting all this down?
Yes, sir.
Now deduct the wages and the overheads, and it comes down to a net profit of just under the 600. It's not much, is it?
Not much.
Let's have a quick deco at the balance sheet. Now, that's the figure I'm interested in, the drawings. Total drawings for the year, 480 quid. Now, that's all that Dixon has to live on. And mark you, he has to pay a life assurance premium out of that, amounting to £160. That leaves him 320. Well, about 6 quid a week. Could you live on 6 quid a week?
Not unless we stopped eating.
And according to his annual return, there's no other income, no investments or rentals or interest. Just the family allowances for 3 kids.
Yeah, which the wife would pinch.
Exactly.
Well, what now, sir?
It's difficult. You see, all this is ordinary comment arising out of accounts. The queries should have been raised at the time and settled one way or the other. For obvious reasons, we can't ask a direct question based on an anonymous letter. It's only when there's an omission from a return of income that we find ourselves with a lever we can really use.
But there is an omission.
I don't get you.
It's there. I can see it in the file. Look, there, Section 29, notification from the Trustee Savings Bank, and it states that Mrs. Amelia Dixon was credited with £33 interest. It definitely hasn't been returned by Dixon. There's your lever.
And we've got him. Well, you know the drill, East. Write to Cobb. Tell him that trustee savings bank income has been omitted and that we'd like to have a sight of the savings book.
Aye.
Tell him we'd also like to know the source of the deposit. And while you're on it, tell him we're reopening the trading accounts and give him a list of those queries you've been noting. And we'd like an interview with Dixon. Put the wind up him. Maybe it'll shake Cobb off and we'll get someone more reliable. Don't mention the Marylebone account, of course. If we keep something up our sleeves, we may get a higher penalty. All right?
Yes, sir.
And check if there's been a wages inspection. If not, get on to PAYE downstairs and tell them to put a good man in, someone who really knows his way around. Dixon can't refuse. It'll be a good pretext to have a look at the books.
Very well, sir.
The Squirrels abuts the edge of Osthouse Wood, and on this serene spring morning is touched by early tree shadow. It is, as Gaunt suspects, expensive, with a fine stone gable and a deep porch with a ship's bell which is rung with enthusiasm by tradesmen, and a tradesman's entrance which is never used except by Toby and his family. A line of dripping napkins flutters over the lawn, and a gardener hoes disdainfully at the flower beds. Toby and his wife Emmy stare from the terrace at this sylvan scene. They are finishing breakfast.
You not hang those napkins on the front lawn, love.
No? Where do you want me to hang them? In the lounge?
Don't look right. Not in a neighbourhood like this. Besides, old Tom catches his face in them when he crosses the grass.
Do it good. I'm sure he never washes.
Marmalade's gone.
Here, aren't you going to open the post?
Why do you always keep on about the post?
Because I never get any, that's why.
Here, you open them.
Thanks. Mostly bills.
Old Tom's getting browned off with those nappies.
Who cares? 6 bob an hour and no rough work. Well, who does the digging? You?
Well, you don't reckon to.
Oh, there's one here from Cobb.
Cobb?
Yes. He's chapped you.
Shucks.
Yeah, he's chapped you up. He sent you a letter from the Inspector of Taxes.
Show us. So it's come.
What have you been up to, Toby?
As if you didn't know.
You've been on the fiddle.
Well, of course I've been on a fiddle. Where do you think a place like this comes from? I can't pay tax and live like this, can I?
Oh, what with one thing and another. First it's that bag at the shop.
Now, don't bring that
a
up
man
again.
of your age messing about with a
Now, for
married
God's
woman.
sake.
Sex, mad, that's you, like
I told you
all
I'd give her
men.
up. That's why I got
Sex
this.
on the brain.
I've given her a brush off, so she shot me. She wrote to the revenue.
Serve you damn well right.
Well, it won't do you no good either, will it?
Eh? What do you mean? What do you mean it won't do me no good?
Well, you read it, didn't you?
Yeah?
I would also refer to the omission of interest credited to Mrs. Amelia Dixon's trustee savings bank account, da-da. Request sight of the book. Yeah, what do you think of that? Your book, your money.
And your problem.
How come?
Look, Toby, I've brought up 2 kids and I've got 2 babies. I've slaved night and day for you and...
you worked your fingers to the bone.
And what I've got, I keep. And if you think I'm going to pay tax on my bit of savings...
It was me to give you the money.
Let her pay it.
Huh? Oh, listen to it.
Sure, she's the one that's had all the fun.
You're tired,
Oh.
Ducks. Tired. I'll tell you what.
I'm sorry.
I'll get you some help for the house, eh? One of them foreign girls.
Oh, yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? A bit of teenage skirt to bring your tea up in the morning.
Why don't you talk like a lady?
Because I didn't marry a gent, that's
Oh,
why.
shut up. I'm worried.
Here. Could this be bad, Toby?
It could.
Blimey. There's quite a bit in that book, about 1,500.
Chicken feed.
Right? You mean it's worse than that?
That book's the least of my worries. I've got to get myself an accountant.
He does so. The offices of Charters, Elvin and Company lie on the bend of the river at the fringe of the Cursiter Fields district, and, in fact, Robert Charters can look across congested waterways to those same derricks that provide so compelling a spectacle for Gaunt. His is an impressive office, ornate furniture, and a number of framed professional diplomas at which Toby Dixon stares with appropriate awe.
Mr. Dixon, I want you to listen carefully. I want to make my position clear to you. I make it a rule never to act in these cases unless I'm put in possession of the fullest information. I want books, documents, personal records. I want access to everything that may have the slightest bearing. I want complete candor. Is that understood?
Sure.
I mean, after all, I'm acting for you, not the revenue.
Yeah.
I can't represent you unless I have the facts. And if I'm short on information, that's a disadvantage to you and an embarrassment to me. You do see that, don't you?
Sure, I see it.
There's also a question of fees. I'd insist on a substantial payment before beginning.
Yeah.
These cases tend to run on and on, you know, years sometimes, and there's a great deal of work and responsibility.
You get me out of this jam and I'll see you all right, Mr. Charters.
That's what they all say. That's what they say when they're worried, when they can't eat or sleep for the anxiety of it. They'll promise anything. It's a different story when the case is concluded. If it goes the wrong way, they resent paying the accountant. And if he gets them out of trouble, they tell him the fees can't come to much because there was no case to answer anyway.
A bit of a cynic, ain't you?
No, Mr. Dixon. Just a man with a lot of experience.
Don't keep me in suspense.
I'd want 500 on account.
500?
Well, how much do I have left when I pay tax on that? You tell me.
Oh, I don't know. But there's an angle there. I'll tell you what. I'll pay you 300 cash. That helps you. Helps me too.
That's a very revealing suggestion, Mr. Dixon.
But no dice.
No dice.
Yeah, I can see you've got heavy overheads.
Oh, yes, indeed. The rent alone. Do you know this office space is leased at so much a square foot? I often sit here and think about it. That chair you're occupying, for example, about 4 square feet, I suppose. Do you realize what that space costs me per annum? And that cabinet over there doing practically nothing.
Well, you could try moving it.
I'm not joking, Mr. Dixon.
I'll write you a check. Charters, Elvin and Co. 500 pounds.
Guineas.
But you said...
Guineas. Always guineas in the profession.
I see I'm in the wrong game.
If you'll just sign it.
I'm a ruddy clock. It's no damn good.
I don't follow.
The cheque, I've drawn it on the Marylebone account. You know, the one I told you about on the buzzer.
I still don't
Well,
see...
there's nothing in it. No cash. I took it all out. As soon as Robbie tells me what she does, I'll go round and take it all out.
Was that wise?
No. It's damn silly. I got in a bit of a flap.
How much was there?
About 6,000 quid
And where is it now?
in a biscuit tin.
Those biscuit tins.
They're quite good, really. You can put them under the floorboards. The notes keep dry for years.
I'll remember it.
Look, Mr. Charters, we're both men of the world. We all like to fiddle on the old tax. These blighters only waste it when they get it, don't they?
Now, let's talk about this Marylebone account. You made a mistake when you closed it. That's an admission that the money is suspect. Why should you withdraw a sum like that on the day they received an anonymous letter? They know at once why you did it.
I got enough panic.
Take my advice, you'll pay the money, now all of it, into your current business banking account. You can state when you're asked, the business wasn't too liquid. You needed the cash for restocking or something like that.
Oh, you're the man for me, Mr. Charters. I can see that.
Then you'll send the 500 guineas in the morning.
Oh, well, God's honour.
By the way, who is Miss Cooper?
It's Robbie.
An employee?
Wow, she's down on the books. Between you and me and the gatepost, she don't know a debit from a credit. 20 smackers a week and a chassis like a Rolls Royce. Ah, you know how it is, Mr. Charters. We're both...
Oh, yes, yes. We're both men of the world.
And we all like a bit of crackling.
The inspector mentioned your wife's trustee savings bank account. How much does she have there?
About 1,500.
And you never returned the interest?
I didn't know she had a account.
Well, that's your story.
Well, I'm sticking to it.
Well, I don't see the savings book here.
I'll send it to him.
You sent it to them?
I wrote to old Cobb and told him they wanted it, so we sent it off.
You sent it off?
I shouldn't have done that, should I?
No. I won't know what I'm talking about. What kind of banking she's been making, over what period the account accumulated. It's all very important.
No, it's all Cobb's fault. 200 a year for doing damn all, and now I'm in it right up to my eyes. He's the one who should be answering all this.
Well, forget him. Let him go. He's an unqualified man. He'll get you into more trouble than he'll get you out of. Now he's gone, it'll help our case.
How so?
Well, don't you see? You can tell the inspector that as soon as you realized things were wrong, you went to a properly qualified man. That's a point in your favor. There's a lot we can blame Cobb for. He won't dare show his face to refute it. That'll be our line of defense, Dixon.
Toby. Everybody calls me Toby.
That'll be our defense, Toby. You're an ignorant man. You don't like paperwork. You don't know a balance sheet from a laundry list. You left everything to Cobb, everything.
Yeah, that's it. All Cobb's fault.
And even your annual return form, you always signed it blank. You sent it on to Cobb, trusting him to fill it in properly.
Well, I trusted that man.
Was it your fault that he didn't ask any questions?
Feel better already.
Of course, that 500 guineas is only on account. You realize that.
Now, look here.
If the case goes well, I'd want a good deal more.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
Another thing. I shouldn't mention Miss Cooper. Not in that way, Toby. One always keeps sex out of it where the revenue is concerned. Seems to upset 'em. It won't help your case. They're all very moral men with plain, stodgy wives. They just don't like it.
I remember.
Let's have a smoke. Now, Toby, let's get down to facts, eh? You've been very frank, and it seems obvious that certain moneys have escaped assessment.
Come again?
You've been on the fiddle.
Yeah, you can put it like that.
It's my duty as a practitioner to warn you of the possible consequences. I want you to understand here and now that I don't guarantee to get you out of the mess you're in without some payment of the revenue. I'll act in your interest to the best of my ability, and if there is a liability, then I'll try to keep it to the very minimum. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Now, the first hurdle is the interview. Inspector will have a colleague present, and they'll take a note of the points raised and the answers given. So be careful what you say.
It is the morning of the interview, and Toby Dixon has dressed with meticulous care. Gone are the signs of affluence, the monogrammed shirt, the handmade shoes, the immaculate suiting. He has chosen a uniform of decency and respectability, which bears, nonetheless, the subtle marks of failure. A suit threadbare but carefully brushed. Shoes cracked across the instep but vigorously polished. A tie slightly frayed at the knot, displaying a regimental emblem which hints cunningly at a selfless wartime service. As a final touch of artistry, he has removed his left cufflink and substituted a neat loop of string. It is 10:45, and Gaunt is speaking.
And even if I accept that you weren't aware of the existence of your wife's trustee account, that still doesn't explain the source of the savings, does it?
No, you better ask her.
I'm asking you.
My client is naturally prepared to make full restitution of the tax lost on the undisclosed interest.
Well, how should I know what she saves? A man can't ask his wife a thing like that.
£1,500 in 5 years.
That's $300 a year.
Well, there you are. £6 a week. That's her wages from the shop.
Does she work in the shop?
That's what I said.
With 2 babies to look after?
I've got a mother-in-law.
That's right, sir. It's on the claim for allowances, the dependent relative.
Leave him to make his own answers, will you, East?
Well, like your assistant said.
My colleague.
My girl works hard in the shop, damn hard.
Does she come up every day?
Every day.
In her own little car, eh?
I never said that.
But she does have a little car.
You better look in the garage.
Are these the business bank statements?
Yes.
I'll look at them instead. And here it is, right under my nose. Surrey County Council, £25. What do you say that is?
Rates?
Road tax for 2 cars. Make a note of that, East. 2 cars.
Oh, he's dead clever, you know.
And why not a car for the wife, Mr. Dixon? The sign of middle-class success, the new status symbol. Before the war, it was a fur coat. Oh, by the way, has she a fur coat?
If she has, I ain't bought it for her.
Why change your accountant?
Wouldn't you?
I suppose I would in your position.
Well, no doubt Mr. Cobb felt himself unqualified to act in an investigation.
It's all Cobb's fault.
It
though.
always is. Now, let's see what private assets we have. Wife's trustee account, 1,500. Marylebone account, 6,000. 2 cars.
And the house, sir.
Thank you, East. And the house. What about the house, Mr. Dixon?
What about it?
What did it cost to build?
Oh, couldn't say exactly.
Well, have a guess.
Well, 3,000?
3,000? These days? Oh, come.
Maybe 4?
Well, 4,000, plus 700 for the ground, plus 1,000 for the furnishings. Say 6,000. Got a nice swimming pool.
The goldfish like it.
Total private assets about £14,000. That's not bad for a man returning modest profits.
You forgot the kid's money box.
Yes, there is the question of children's savings.
Now, you can leave my nippers out of this.
I'll leave nothing out. I want facts, figures, information.
And a nice fat check at the end of it.
Then you do admit there's money due to us.
I admit nothing.
£14,000, Dixon. Considerable accumulation.
Look, ain't a man entitled to save it?
Not at our expense.
My client did raise a mortgage at the time of building the house.
Yes.
£3,000.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Charters. But why did he raise it?
Why? Why do you think?
At that date, there was a balance of some £4,000 to your credit at the Marylebone branch. Why borrow money when you already had the cash?
Oh, I don't know.
Why pay interest on an unnecessary loan?
I can't remember.
And I'll jog your memory. You preferred to pay interest rather than reveal the account.
Look, I'm fed up with this ruddy third degree. Now, I'll tell you something. I slogged it out for 6 solid years in the army while blokes like you were sitting on your backsides drinking tea and dreaming of your pensions. I come out with a D-mob suit, sore feet, a gratuity of 60 quid and damn all else besides. I didn't go into the civil service. Oh, no. I had a few more guts than that. I borrowed a bit off my old man, I set up in business, and me and my missus worked like hell till we got some capital behind us. And you know what we did then? We put it all back in the business. We took a risk. Risk! Something your lot don't understand, never will. All you want is to lick the cream off when the other bloke's made it, and I'm the bloke that pays your wages, and don't you forget it!
Mr. Dixon.
You want to put me out of business?
Oh, of course we don't want to put you out of business. You're going to be one of our best customers.
11 a.m.
And the accounts present several very unsatisfactory features. Have you seen them, Mr. Charters?
Yes.
A mess, don't you think?
Well, this bloke, Cobb.
Ah, Cobb. The intercontinental accountant. The man in whom you place absolute trust. The man who filed accounts without any kind of prior approval from you. Accounts you simply wouldn't understand anyway. Isn't that what you're saying?
You're saying it.
And it happens to be true. My client paid Cobb to do a job. He's entitled to assume Cobb did it. He's a shopkeeper, not an accountant.
Yeah, I wouldn't know a balance sheet from a laundry list.
But you can read, can't you?
Yeah.
And you know what profit is.
I've got an idea.
It's all down here. It's all very plain. Profit, 1959, £590. Profit, 1958, £468. Profit, 1957, £404, and so on. Now, Mr. Dixon, I want you to answer very carefully. I want you to tell me if you think those profits are a fair and reasonable reflection of your trading activities.
But that's a question my client can't reasonably answer.
No? The man's not an idiot, is he? He ought to know whether he's making 500, 1,000, 2,000.
I advise you not to answer.
Well, I've got nothing to hide.
No, at this stage, I
At
do
this
feel...
stage, I'm merely interested in deciding whether or not there's a possible loss to the revenue. I think there is. So do you, by the sound of it.
I'll not sit here while you browbeat my client into making damaging admissions.
Browbeat? All I want is an answer.
Gents, please.
Now, couldn't we cooperate, Mr. Charters, just this once?
11:15 a.m.
Now look at the trading account. Do you know the percentage it reveals? The rate of gross profit to turnover?
No idea.
18%.
Is that good?
Well, you ought to know. You've been in the trade 15 years.
Turnover percentages, gross profit. Oh, you'll blind me with science, Guff.
You make more than 18%, Mr. Dixon.
What do you think it should be?
25. At very least 25.
Well, my client's policy is one of continual stock clearance. There are frequent sales at cost and below cost, bound to reduce the normal percentage.
And the dirt that comes blowing in them two shops. Oh, you never believe the sort of stock I got.
No, I wouldn't. Not with those expensive shop fronts.
Expensive?
You didn't build that one in Iron Founders Square under 2,000 or 3,000.
I don't quite follow.
There's nothing in the accounts, Mr. Charters. No expenditure on the new shop front at all. I'd like to know what's happened to it. The exact cost, when it was paid, and to whom. And in particular, the source of the cash.
11:30 a.m.
Worried about this drawings figure. After paying your life assurance, you're left with about £6 a week. It's not much, is it?
We live very quiet.
Yeah, not as quiet as that, surely. £6 a week, a man with 4 children.
You manage.
Do you smoke?
No.
Never?
Never.
Your fingers are stained with nicotine.
Proper little Gestapo, isn't he?
Well,
Picric acid. I burnt myself.
and of course you don't drink.
Never touch it, ulcers.
But you do eat.
Oh, a right comic we got here, too.
How much do you give your wife?
5.
Leaving £1 for yourself.
That's it.
I can see you don't spend much on clothes.
That's very
Coming here in
unfair.
his gardening clothes.
Now, look here.
This masquerade from a man who actually deals in clothes. But you forgot to take your gold repeater watch off.
12 noon. Gaunt is slowly turning the folios of the Marylebone banking account. He's smoking. The room is unbearably quiet, and there's no sound but the faint rustle of paper. Toby Dixon stares greedily at the wreaths of smoke, at the occasional movement of Gaunt's hand as it flicks ash from those incriminating pages. He's feeling the first pangs of desperation.
We know you had a letter.
Letter?
Anonymous.
Don't get you.
Oh, yes, you do.
My client is distressed. He's rather nervous.
And I don't blame him. £6,000 accumulated over 3 years.
Let's not prejudge the case.
Mr. Dixon, is this your private current account?
Yes.
Get this down, East.
Yes, sir.
Are these shop takings?
No.
Are you sure?
I said no, didn't I?
Do you know what fraud is?
You tell me.
It's the intent to deceive. And if the revenue can establish that intent, your position is considerably worsened.
He's only trying to frighten you.
Yeah, ain't doing so bad, either.
I'll repeat it. Are these shop takings?
No.
Look at these bankings. Regular bankings in round sums, and especially big bankings in spring and at Christmas time.
So what?
Well, I should have thought it was obvious. They're the big seasonal sales. Look at this one. £800 at the beginning of April. What's that? A spring sale?
No, spring meeting.
What?
Epsom.
Oh. Can't we settle just one back duty case without a yarn about betting wins?
Well, it happens to be true.
And the large Christmas banking?
Over the sticks.
The sticks?
Steeplechase. That'll be the Boxing Day meeting.
Mr. Charters, I'd like to hear your views on this story of betting wins.
I've no views at all.
Your client could withdraw the story at this stage. I'd agree to expunge it from the record of this interview.
I said betting wins, and I mean betting wins.
The whole 6,000?
Most of it.
I see. Well, I'd better put you in the picture where my department's concerned. We don't dispute that punters enjoy occasional wins, but we do dispute that they win large sums consistently. The bookies earn a living, and that means there are more losses than wins. If the taxpayer persists in a story of betting wins, then we assess the deposits as trading receipts and leave him to appeal and take his case to the commissioners. And I can assure you, Dixon, that the commissioners won't accept the story without some kind of evidence to support it. Bookmakers' statements, for example.
12:30 p.m. Gaunt is still toying with the bank statements.
Large sum to keep on current account, Mr. Dixon. Why not invest it? You could have placed it to deposit.
My client...
Let him answer, please.
Oh, I don't know. I'll never give it a thought.
I'll tell you why you didn't invest it. You didn't want it to earn interest. You knew the interest would be returned to us by the bank, and that would disclose the existence of the account.
Pure assumption.
I see the account has been used for personal payments. That means the bankings would amount to more than 6,000. Rates, electricity, water... What's this one? Temple of Purity, 6 guineas?
That's my lodge. My lodge.
I am not a Freemason, Mr. Dixon.
Yeah,
And if I were, it wouldn't help you.
I can well believe it.
About the investigation.
Back to 1946, I think.
1946?
Yes, the year you began in business. A nice, convenient date.
Yeah, but that's 14 years. Look, the bloke in the pub told me that I
You said
wouldn't...
you didn't drink.
Never misses a trick, does he?
Taproom lawyers. You tell your barfly pals the 6-year time limit doesn't apply when there's fraud or willful default.
Fraud? Willful default. Those are strong terms and absolutely unjustified, if I may say so.
Dixon, I don't know if Mr. Charters has advised you of the drill in these cases, and I won't weary you with technical jargon, but the procedure is to prepare capital statements from year to year to find, as near as we can, the increase in your personal capital. Once we have that annual figure before us, we can compare it with the profits on which you've been assessed. The difference is the measure of the underassessment, or as you would put it, the fiddle. Clear?
Oh, yeah, like mud.
Well, of course, it doesn't end there. You'll have to make a full restitution of the tax lost, and in addition, there'll be a substantial penalty. That's in consideration of our not taking proceedings for the full amount of the penalties for which you made yourself liable. You understand it?
I get the general message.
And one thing more. At some future date, you'll be asked to sign a certificate of disclosure. That means you'll be certifying that you've made a complete disclosure to us of all assets of yourself and your wife existing over the period of the investigation. And I'll give you a word of warning, Dixon. It's a fraud on the Crown to sign a certificate when you know full well that you haven't made a full disclosure. You'll be in very serious trouble.
The parlour behind the shop in Macedonia Street.
As soon as he said it. Betting wins, he said. You've got to have evidence for a yarn like that. Bookmaker's statements.
I don't see.
Your old man, he runs a book, doesn't he?
Yes.
Well, I'm right down the pan, Ducks, and I ain't coming up no lily in my hand, not without help.
No, Toby, do be careful.
Red hot he was, just like one of them cartoons, you see. tall and thin, bright birdy eyes, and I don't like a bleeding egg. Give you the creeps.
Oh, my old man wouldn't help.
Of course not. Would you stick your neck out like that?
No.
I want some of them statements of his. The blank printed accounts he sends out on the credit bets.
He'd never part.
You could get them for me.
Oh, dear, I never could. How?
Knock 'em off.
Oh, I couldn't do that to
I'd
him.
never miss 'em.
Yes, but all the same...
Look, you got me into this, didn't you?
Yes, I suppose I
Well,
did.
now you can get me out. Ah, come on, Dax. Do it for old Toby.
Well, how many do you want?
A week later. There is a dockyard strike, and Gaunt stares moodily from the window across the wharves to the silent ships and unmoving derricks.
Look at that. They've actually left an enormous crate suspended in midair above the hold. Why don't we go on strike, East?
You will, when you've seen this.
What is it?
A batch of bookies' accounts. Toby Dixon sent them.
He wouldn't dare.
Would, and they look all right, too.
Let's have a deco. William Guppy, turf accountant. In account with T.F. Dixon East. Have you checked on this?
Yes, sir. I've been on to Tyburn District. That's where he's assessed. He's really William Cooper. Guppy's just a trade name.
Big boy?
No, quite small.
About 30 monthly accounts here, spread over 3 years. And some very substantial winnings by the look of it.
About 7,000 quid.
7,000 quid.
They seem authentic.
Yes, but there's a sort of new appearance to them.
New. They look pretty grubby to me.
Yes, they're too grubby. He's creased them up well, and you can see where he's wiped them on the floor, but it's not the sort of discoloration you get with age.
There's even a bit of egg stuck on this one.
Now, Toby's quite an artist in his way. Did you notice the string cufflink?
Yeah. These accounts.
Ah, yes, he's been. Now, this is very serious. Let's sit down. Now, let's take this thing from the beginning. Now, as I recall it, the tale about betting wins didn't come up until I'd got him in a corner on the question of the spring and Christmas bankings. And Charters himself was obviously at a loss when Toby mentioned it. Now, this is the point, East. Toby and Charters had plenty of opportunity to discuss all this. And if Toby had 7,000 quid's worth of evidence in his possession, he'd certainly have produced it to Charters. And Charters would have produced it at the interview. It was the complete answer to our charges. But he didn't. Why not?
Because it wasn't in existence.
Of course it wasn't. He's trumped it up since. But there's something fundamentally wrong here. Something I can't quite grasp.
We could, check the runners, huh?
Yes. You'll find Hall's racing record for 1959 in that bookcase. But it's unlikely that a wide boy like Toby would slip up on a thing like that. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, we'll take one at random. Take the Brighton meeting for August, the Preston Park Handicap. What won it?
Broken fetlock.
Broken Fetlock? Who ever heard of a horse called Broken Fetlock?
Well, it is a handicap, sir.
Not very funny, East. What was the starting price?
11 to 2.
According to this, Toby placed his bet at 30 to 1. Now, take another one. The August meeting at Newmarket, the Grantchester Stakes.
Cabbage white, 7 to 4.
And Toby placed it at 40 to 1.
40 to 1?
That's the weakness. The odds are fantastic. No bookie would give them. And another thing, what bookie, especially a small man, would allow a punter to win 7,000 in 3 years? In practice, they don't stand for a consistent winning streak. They tell them to bet elsewhere.
But, can we prove all this?
I wouldn't even try. The thing to do is to call his bluff. You get Charters and Toby up here and make it soon.
The meeting is very soon, and it is not friendly.
I want to get this absolutely clear, Mr. Charters. Is this the first you've seen or heard of bookmakers' accounts?
Yes.
Did Dixon, at any time prior to this interview, mention betting wins?
I'm here to represent my client, not to be cross-examined.
But you are a professional man. You wouldn't care to be associated with a piece of deliberate trickery. You wouldn't wish to plead your client's case on the basis of a calculated fraud. Here, look at these papers. Study them. Wins up and down the country, enormous odds, 20, 30, 40, even 50 to 1. Not a losing bet in 3 years. Oh, come, Mr. Charters, let's not be naive. Do you really suggest these are bona fide accounts, do you?
Well, in the circumstances, I'd rather my client answered that question.
Yeah, I'll put it to him. Dixon, are these accounts bona fide?
Bona what?
Bona fide. Are they on the level?
True as I sit here.
Did you write them?
No.
Did you pay for them?
No.
Not Guppy?
No.
You still claim they're bona fide betting wins?
Yes.
Mr. Charters, I don't think your client appreciates his position. Would you care to put it to him?
I hardly think.
I'm asking you to put a hypothetical case.
Very well. I go as far as this. If documents known to be false are presented to the revenue, then the party places himself in a most perilous position.
You hear that, Dixon? A most perilous position. Your own accountant advises you to admit their falsity.
I never said that.
But it amounts to the same thing. They are false.
Prove it, then. You're so cocksure, prove it.
You stick to your story?
Like glue.
All right. You stick. Well, let's relax. Have a puff. I'll try and put the thing in perspective. Now, there's a touch of the comic in all black duty cases. I suppose it's the cat and mouse element, the revenue puss leaping in perpetual pursuit and never quite getting its claws in. It's a game that started with the imposition of the first income tax. It's developed its own rules, and it's played on both sides with a dash of good humor, a bit of give and take, and a degree of cut and thrust. And in the end, the bad boy pays up. The slate's left clean, and the state has no further claim. But there are rules. If the defaulter aids the investigation, then in practice we don't hunt too hard. But if he obstructs it, if he seeks to escape behind a web of lies, deceit, and fraud, we use every weapon at our disposal. And in your case, Dixon, the particular weapon is a criminal prosecution under the Perjury Act.
Criminal prosecution.
Imprisonment as well as a fine. Think, Mr. Dixon. It's no good relying on Guppy.
You'd go to Guppy.
Of course. He's assessed in Tyburn District, and I can make an inquiry through my colleague there.
I see.
Even if he actually falsified them for you, we'd surrender our rights against him in return for an admission.
You've got all the trumps, ain't you?
So, Dixon, I'm going to question you again. Take your time. Don't answer without careful thought. Now, are these statements false?
Yes.
Did you write them?
Yes.
And are the bankings in the Marylebone account shop receipts?
Yes.
Autumn passes into winter before Charters and Gaunt reach agreement. The file has grown fat. 7 months of argument and computation are crystallized into a single sheet of foolscap paper which Gaunt holds pinioned beneath his hand. Outside, the spars and riggings are white with frost. And Toby is immaculate. The shoes aglint with the beauty of expensive leather, the suit impeccable, the tie stabbed with a solitary lustrous jewel. Prosperity sits unmistakably on those well-clad shoulders.
Oh, yeah, you're being put out to grass in a day or two, Mr. Gaunt.
Grass? Yes. 40 years in the Revenue Service?
Gaunt's last case.
It is that.
Yeah, out in a real blaze of glory.
Mr. Dixon, I've no doubt your professional advisor has explained to you the significance of these computations.
Well, I know what the damage is, if that's what you mean.
The tax and surtax lost to the revenue amount to £7,500.
You smoke cigars?
Yeah, on occasion.
Well, ain't this an occasion?
Yes, I suppose it is.
We'll have one. We'll all have one. Cost me 7 or 10 a piece.
Oh, thanks. You look very prosperous, Mr. Dixon.
Now, you feel this material. Set me back 40 guineas, and there's a dozen just like it hanging up at home.
I really don't see
It's a
that-
beautiful home and all, full of lovely stuff. I've got a Chinese carpet. Cost me 400 guineas. Antique furniture, the lot.
all this reckless talk.
Ah, forget it. Look, I'm sick of the old game. Sick of coming here shabby. Sick of pretending I've done no good. I'll tell you something, Mr. Gaunt. I've been worried sick about this case. It stuck in my craw. I woke up in the night with it. And it wasn't nothing to do with the money. It wasn't until yesterday I realised what it was. I've been in this office 4, 5 times. Each time I walked out that door, I've been about 3 foot high. And you know why? I'll tell you. I've sat in this chair, and the kind of togs I give to my gardener. I've had to scrub the nicotine off my fingers with pumice. I've had to talk a load of bull about not smoking, not drinking, not having enough money to keep my wife and kids. Well, my family's got everything it needs, everything. I've done well, Mr. Gaunt. Damn well. I started from nothing, I've built up a good business, and don't let any man tell you Toby Dixon's a flop. I'm proud of what I've done. Proud.
We are here today to consider the offer you ought to make in settlement. I've already explained to you that mere restitution of the tax lost is not sufficient to close the case. You've made yourself liable to penalties under the various sections of the Income Tax Act, and we can, if we choose, proceed against you for the full amount of those penalties, to say nothing of any action that's open to us under the Perjury Act.
Yes, you got the whip.
We have an express power to mitigate those penalties, but the degree of mitigation depends entirely on the circumstances of the case. Now, at some point in the investigation, I generally place a case in one of a number of categories: genuine error, mere carelessness, negligence, deliberate fraud. I don't think there's any doubt which one you fall into, Dixon.
I've been a bad boy.
I also have to consider other factors. Has the defaulter aided the investigation or obstructed it? What is his present financial position? Has he withheld material information?
Like Chinese carpets?
Exactly. I'd also like to make it quite clear that I've no individual authority to accept an offer. I can only make a recommendation to the Board of Inland Revenue, and the Board will either accept or reject.
What offer had you in mind?
A penalty of 100%.
100%.
I don't get it.
You owe the revenue 7,500. Means you have to offer 15,000 in settlement.
15,000.
Well, after all, you've had the use of our money. You've built your business on it. You can't expect to found your future security at our expense. Yeah, and think of the compound interest the government's had to pay.
All the same.
I still can't say what attitude the board's likely to take. They may decide on a criminal prosecution as a matter of public policy. Fraudulent evidence, you know.
Penalty of 100%. That's savage.
It's not my job to advise your client, but I'll give you my candid opinion. Anything less than 15,000, and I think the board will prosecute.
I couldn't advise.
Pay it.
But
Pay it.
That's your decision, Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
In that case, Mr. Charters, if you'll let me have a formal offer in due course.
After Charters and Toby Dixon have departed, Gaunt and East move to the window, stare pensively at the walls through spirals of cigar smoke.
Pretty, isn't it? The ice on the masts.
Very pretty.
And I shall miss it. I've learned a lot about ships since I've been here. Do you remember that day when the Tarantula got loose from the banana crate?
We spend the whole morning watching him catch it.
Yes. Well, nice cigars.
Yes.
And we'll open the windows when we've finished. It doesn't smell quite right for a revenue office.
As Toby said, you certainly went out in a blaze of glory.
A full 100%.
Enormous, isn't it?
Best I've ever done.
The board may not like it.
Oh, who cares? I shan't be here.
Funny chap.
Who, Dixon?
Coming here in that scarecrow outfit long after we knew he'd got money.
Oh, they all do that. It's a kind of tradition with tax evaders. But it's strange how a man's pride will suddenly assert itself. He couldn't bear to play the unsuccessful businessman. He just had to speak his piece.
I rather admire him for it.
Yes. Yes, I despised him until then. That little outburst cost him about 2,000 quid. I was about to suggest a 75% penalty. But I still have the feeling there's something we don't know. He was a bit too quick in agreeing to the settlement. It was hardly a quibble. Almost as if he was relieved to get out of it at that figure. 15,000. It sounds fine when you say it quickly, but I wonder.
Outside the building, Toby and his accountant are parting in high good humor, on Toby's side at any rate.
Let me tell you, Mr. Charters, if old Dracula thinks he's got Toby Dixon down on the floor, he'd better think twice. Sitting there rubbing his hands as pleased as Punch. Anything less than 15,000, I think the board will prosecute.
a lot of money, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, Toby can find it. And I'll tell you what they can do with it. They can put it towards the next civil servant's backdated pay increase.
It's still a lot of money.
Cheer up, Gov. Biscuit tins. Remember? I still got my biscuit tins.
Mary Wimbush plays Julia and Isabel Dean, Jane, in Noel Coward's comedy of the 1920s, Fallen Angels.
might get hiccups if you gobble like that.
I'm not gobbling.
What time's Willie coming?
He ought to be here now.
Oh, I say. Muriel Fenchurch is divorcing her husband.
That's uncommonly generous of him.
Do you want any more coffee?
No, thanks, dear.
Well, I think you better have some more coffee.
Why?
Because I want you to see our new treasure.
Oh, all right. Didn't know we had one.
Seems a nice girl, but she's rather grand.
The main thing is that the other one's gone. I couldn't bear her. Never could remember her name. What was it?
Miss Fanway.
Oh.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What's your name?
Jasmine, sir.
Oh.
We've arranged that she shall be called Saunders.
Ah. Oh, yes, yes. Well, I shan't want any more coffee. Saunders?
Yes, sir. You are quite right, sir. I was in the employ of His Grace, the Duke of Sidrington, for 3 years.
Oh?
His Grace, one of our foremost golfers, as you well know, sir, never took coffee before a day on the course. His Grace always said that it made his hand unsteady.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. Do you need me for anything else, sir?
No. Do you want to say anything else?
No, I don't think there's anything. Oh, perhaps there is one thing. Which course are you playing on?
Chichester.
Are you taking all your clubs, sir?
Yes.
Oh, dear. Surely you must know, sir, your irons are all you need at Chichester.
Of course.
Your irons, sir. Quite sufficient.
Oh, she seems all right, doesn't she?
Quite. I wish Willie had learned to be punctual.
Oh, be patient. He'll be down in a moment.
What are you going to do?
Oh, nothing in particular. I shall tidy up and dust a bit. Set Saunders a good example. Lunching with Jane, and we should probably go to a matinee.
There now, didn't I tell you your day would pan out naturally?
Yes, but I did have a presentiment when I first woke up.
But it was nothing definite. You said so.
Well, of course it wasn't. You can't define a presentiment. That's what's so horrid. Feeling of being unsettled.
I expect it's indigestion.
No, I really felt quite odd as though something damnable were going to happen.
If you go on thinking in that vein, something damnable will happen.
You're being rather taciturn and important this morning.
Well, I like to see you worrying yourself over nothing.
No, I'm not really. I'm very happy.
Are you? Honestly?
Of course.
Sure?
Positive.
Good. I think it's awfully silly of people to lead unhappy lives, don't you?
Yes, I suppose so. We shall both know the first minute we go off one another, but we're not in love a bit now, you know.
I don't know anything of the sort.
It's true.
The first violent passion is naturally over.
Thank God.
Why?
It's so uncomfortable, passion.
Yes, but it's a thoroughly fundamental thing. One couldn't do without it.
You mean we couldn't?
No, I don't. We could and are doing without it.
One can't really be in love without passion. That's why I said we weren't anymore.
Don't be annoying, Julia. You know perfectly well we've reached a remarkably sublime plane of affection and good comradeship, far above...
Just ordinary being in love, I quite agree.
We are in love.
Hypocrite, we're not.
We are, in a different way.
There is no different way. It's exactly the same with everybody. I've discussed it with Jane.
Damn Jane.
By all means, but she knows just as I do.
You're psychoanalytical neurotics, both of you.
Oh, that sounds lovely, Fred.
Do you always discuss everything with Jane?
Yes, everything.
Even the most intimate relationships? Us?
Oh, yes, you know I do. I always have.
Oh, I think that's dreadful.
Oh, nonsense. You discuss everything with Willie.
Yes, but different.
Less accurate, I expect. That's the only difference.
Sure, married life was much easier in Victorian days.
Well, if you think women didn't discuss things minutely in the Victorian days just as much as they do now, you're very much mistaken.
But it was all so much simpler.
For the men.
For the women, too. They didn't know so much.
They didn't give themselves away so much, poor dears. They were too frightened.
Anyhow, on the whole, I'd rather be as we are.
Ah, that's right, dear.
But you're wrong when you say I don't love you anymore.
I didn't say that at all. I know you love me very much, and I love you too. You're a darling. But we're not in love. Can't you see the difference?
I suppose so. But I don't want to.
Oh, well, we won't go on about it anymore. You should go and play golf and quarrel with Willie, and I'll stay at home and quarrel with Jane, and we'll all be awfully happy. Coming home tomorrow?
Perhaps tonight, if the weather's bad.
Well, you might telephone me and let me know.
All right.
Ah, that's Willie.
I'll let him in and save Jasmine the trouble.
Saunders.
Saunders, then. Willie, you're disgracefully late.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fred. Jane was playing a... good morning, Julia.
Now, Willie.
How are you?
Feeling grand. Fred and I have just had a psychological romp. It was very stimulating.
It's depressed me for the day.
Jane's been a trifle difficult this morning.
In what way?
She woke up with a presentiment.
Good Lord.
She went on about it all through breakfast.
Oh, how tactless of her. I at least waited until after breakfast.
Have you had one too?
Yes, a beast. But don't ask me to explain it. It's quite intangible at present.
We'd better go, Willie. Leave them to their dreary forebodings. We'll be very hearty and jolly all day and drink a lot of beer at lunch.
Yeah, the car's downstairs.
How thoughtful of you not to bring it up.
Have you got your clubs?
Oh, they're in the hall. I'm only taking my irons.
Why?
Because Saunders said so.
Who on earth is Saunders?
Never mind.
Goodbye, Julia. Don't encourage Jane too much, for heaven's sake.
Whatever encouragement there is will be mutual. I feel in a particularly heart-to-heart mood today.
Goodbye, darling.
Bye, love. Don't forget to telephone.
I won't.
Ah, Saunders.
May I clear, madam?
Oh, yes, please. Does it feel awful to be in a new place, Saunders?
No, ma'am. Not particularly.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm sure I should be terrified and break everything.
It's getting used to things, ma'am.
I hope you're not secretly hurt at our refusing to call you Jasmine.
Oh, no, ma'am. I don't mind.
Sticky name, isn't it? For the house.
Well, I've never thought about it much, madam.
Oh, that's good. Then you won't miss it, will you?
No, madam.
Oh, if rather a strange-looking man calls during the morning, will you take him straight to the bathroom?
Yes, madam. Shall I run a bath for him?
No. It'll be the plumber.
Oh.
Julia! Julia!
Oh, good morning, madam.
You don't know, that's all. You just don't know.
What on earth's the matter?
Let's both go away at once.
Oh, all right. Where shall we go?
Oh, don't be maddening, Julia. I'm serious. Read that.
Oh, it's the Blue Grotto at Capri.
Yes, I know it is, but read it.
Oh, my God.
There now.
Oh, this is frightful.
Oh, what are we going to do?
Think. We must think. Now, when is he coming?
Now, I suppose. Today. Any moment.
Oh, Jane, I wonder if he's changed.
No, I shouldn't think so. That type never does.
Well, don't say that type like that. It's most irreverent.
I packed just a few things very hurriedly. I thought perhaps Brighton for a few days until our passports were properly
Passports?
Yes, for America.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
No.
No, we must keep calm and talk it over quietly. It's the only way. Now, sit down. There. Now then, we've got the whole day before us.
I only hope we have.
Well, you don't think he'll arrive before lunch?
Oh, he might. He might. He never had the slightest restraint. Oh, after all these years, I do think it's cruel.
It might have happened before. That would have been much worse.
I don't know. I wonder. We might have had more strength to resist.
No, dear. We've never been exactly bursting with that kind of strength.
You know what we are, don't you? We're the slaves of coincidence, and we always have been. Oh, it does make life so dreadfully difficult.
Yes, but easier at moments. Well, we can at least face it together.
It's going to be agony facing him together.
We must be firm. After all, we're not in love with him anymore.
Well, not at the moment. But suppose when he arrives, he's just as attractive and glamorous as ever. Oh, we shall both go down like ninepins.
I shan't. I know, Jane, I shan't. I'm too fond of Fred.
Yes, I've been bolstering myself up like that all the morning, arguing that I'm too fond of Willie. Everything's quite different now, but I don't know. I'm afraid. I'm terribly afraid. You see, Julia, we've got to face facts. We're not really in love with our husbands anymore.
Oh, yes, I told Fred all that this morning.
Oh, Julia, I do wish we hadn't when we did.
And there's a fat lot of use wishing that now.
Morris. It gives me a fearful sort of illegitimate thrill even to look at his name.
Now then, Jane.
I wonder if he realises he's been the one grand passion in both our lives.
Of course he does. It's almost his profession.
Our love for our husbands, that's been on an entirely different plane all along. Nicer and worthier and all that sort of thing, but not half so soul-shattering.
Oh. Wonder if he can speak English now.
I hope not. He was so lovely in French.
And what would Willie and Fred say if they knew?
Oh, don't.
Now, Fred, I think, would be sensible after the first shock had worn off.
Willie wouldn't.
After all, it isn't as if we've been unfaithful since marriage. It all happened before.
Yes, but men never forgive that sort of thing, no matter when it happens.
It seems so unfair that men should have the monopoly of wild oats.
Oh, they haven't. But it's our duty to make them think they have.
When I think of Italy and cypresses and the moonlight, the glorious romance of it all.
Don't, dear. You'll only upset yourself.
And you remember how I wrote to you in Scotland and told you all about it?
Yes, dear.
Oh, how I adored him. And nobody knew a thing. I left Aunt Mary a week earlier than I said and got out of the train at Pisa. He was waiting for me. I used to go up and look at the Leaning Tower night after night.
The toast,
Oh, thank you. That will do, Saunders.
Yes, madam.
Oh, don't tell me I know. It's the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Of course.
Oh, what a devil!
J'arriverai alors cette semaine. J'espère avec tout mon cœur que vous ne n'oubliez pas, Maurice.
Oh,
cette semaine.
And today's Saturday. What are we going to do?
Now, listen, Jane. We must get the whole situation laid out quite clearly like Patience, and then we shall know where we are. Now then.
Well, now then what?
Two wretchedly happy married women.
Yes.
Both during the first years of their married lives having treated their exceedingly nice husbands to the requisite amount of passion and adoration.
Yes, yes.
After a certain time, the first ecstasies of passion and adoration subside, leaving in some instances an arid waste of discontent.
Lovely, darling. Yes?
In some instances, rank boredom and rampant adultery on both sides.
Don't be gross, Julia.
And in other rare instances, such as ours, complete happiness and tranquility, devoid of violent emotions of any kind, with the possible exception of golf.
Quite.
Quite. And there lies the trouble, the lack of violent emotion, fireworks, etc.
I don't want fireworks.
Oh, neither do I. Not the nice part of me, but there's a beastly, unworthy thing in both of us waiting to spring. It sprang before our marriage and is waiting to spring again. Hasn't been fed for a long time.
Julia.
Well, to put it mildly, dear, we're both ripe for a lapse.
No, it's a relapse.
Perfectly appalling. And we're laughing on the very edge of an abyss.
Can't help it, it's sheer hysteria.
We both happen to throw our respective bonnets over the same windmill.
Oh, do stop.
And in a critical moment in our matrimonial careers, that windmill is coming to wreck us.
Yes, but I don't want to be wrecked. I don't want to be wrecked.
Saunders will hear you.
Oh, Julia, don't you see? What I suggested in the first place, it's our only way. We must go at once, anywhere out of London.
I shall do no such thing. It would be most cowardly.
A blind goat could see through that, dear.
All the same, I shall stay and face it.
If you do, I shall.
And there's not the least necessity for us both to suffer.
If you imagine I should enjoy being by myself in Brighton while you were gallivanting about London with Morris, you're very much mistaken.
I should be too much upset to gallivant.
No, dear, it won't do.
What do you mean it won't do?
We stand or fall together.
I don't mind standing together, but I won't fall together. It would be most embarrassing.
Anyway, I'm not going to be left out of anything.
Oh, Jane, I'm torn between my better self and my worse self. I want terribly badly to be a true, faithful wife and look after Fred and live in peace. And I want terribly to have violent and illicit love made to be frenziedly happy and supremely miserable.
We're both in the same boat. But the most awful contingency is that one of us may give in utterly, leaving the other shrouded forever in unrewarded virtue.
Meaning the one he fancies most.
Exactly.
Well, there won't be any virtue at all, just biting jealousy.
We must make a vow that however badly one of or both of us behaves during the black and scarlet period before us, when it's all over and died down, we can reinstate ourselves on the same concrete basis of friendship and intimacy without the slightest sacrificing of pride on either side.
Oh, yes, yes, Jane, darling, I vow it now.
Darling. So do I. Whatever we do...
And whatever we say...
We're temporarily unhinged by sex.
Afterwards, perfect friendship.
And no apologies.
Not one. Oh, Jane, I can't go through with it after
Now,
all.
Julia, you made a vow.
I'm sorry, I can't. It would be too frightful.
Agony.
Let's do your plan and fly.
Together?
Yes, 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 together.
Oh, he'll think it's so rude.
No, don't weaken, Jane.
Frenchmen are so particular about that sort of thing.
But it can't be helped. One can carry good manners too far.
I know. We can leave him a letter.
But of course, saying we've been called away.
Yes, that would ease my conscience.
Now, you write it while I pack a few things. It's Maurice.
You're right.
We're sunk.
I suppose so.
Oh, anyhow, it will be good for our friends.
I'm extremely hungry, Julia.
So am I, ravenous.
It's getting on for 9.
I know.
There's not the least likelihood of his arriving at this time.
Oh, you might, especially if the Paris trains were
We
late.
don't know whether he was coming from Paris.
Well, where else could he be coming from?
Don't snap at me, Julia. He might be coming from the Channel Islands or Brussels. He's frightfully cosmopolitan.
Well, I'm quite certain that he's coming from Paris.
Well, anyway, the idea was for him to arrive unexpectedly and discover us dining together in a charming domestic surroundings, not sitting twiddling our thumbs with eager, strained expressions with the room decorated like a bridal suite.
And that, dear, was not in the best of taste. Oh, Saunders, what have you got there?
Salted almonds, madam.
Oh, good.
Are you hungry, Saunders?
No, madam, I've already eaten.
Oh, you have.
Well, will you have an almond?
Well, it might assuage the pangs a little.
Oh, the table looks pretty, doesn't it?
Lovely, darling.
Oh, it's been the most shattering day.
I shall never forget your face when, after all that suspense, the plumber arrived.
Well, I'm thankful he did all the same.
Why?
Domestic reasons.
And why do you suppose that Violet Coswick chose today of all days to come to tea?
And talk exclusively of Paris and Frenchmen.
She has a very unpleasant mind, poor Violet. I suppose it must be the result of so much repression.
Repression of what, dear?
Everything.
Oh, she lacks opportunities. It's her clothes, I think.
They don't lack opportunities. They grab them wholeheartedly.
I've never seen so many things on one woman.
What was the meaning of that hat?
Oh, it appeared to be kept on my suction. Oh, shall we have a drink?
Oh, no, not on empty tummies.
Oh, well, I shall get deep depression if we don't.
Oh, well. We shall lapse into complete silliness, and when Maurice does come, we shall giggle helplessly at him and our heads will wobble.
Yes, madam.
Martinez, please, Saunders. Strong ones.
Oh, Julia.
Very strong ones.
Yes, madam.
And if one isn't enough, we shall have two.
Not on your life.
If you will allow me to say so, madam, several drinks never do any harm. It's only the first which is dangerous. After that, the damage is done.
Obviously, you speak from experience.
I used to be a barmaid, madam.
Oh. Well, all I ask is that she was never an item in the news of the world.
Oh, Julia, I don't believe he ever will come.
No, neither do I. It's probably all an elfin joke. He was always being elfin.
And so terribly unreliable.
I wouldn't trust him an inch.
I never did.
All the same, he was a darling.
Adorable, damn him.
And he doesn't know many people in England.
I think he will come.
And so do I.
And he'll kiss our hands and look up at us while he does it. You remember?
Oh, I remember all that.
And then he'll laugh and show all his teeth.
Many more than usual.
You know what we're doing, don't you?
What?
Working ourselves up.
Oh, we have been all day.
Oh, I should like to scream and scream and roll around on the floor.
Oh, so should I. But we must restrain ourselves.
Oh, it's want of food.
That's what it is.
Oh, don't let's wait any longer.
All right. Thank you, Saunders. And dinner, please, Saunders.
And quickly.
Yes, madam.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Shall I open the champagne?
Oh, not yet.
Yes. Open it, Saunders. Champagne is a great strengthener.
Listen, there's a taxi.
Oh,
It's stopping outside.
quick.
Oh, it's too dark. I can't see.
Who's got a black
Oh,
hat?
it must be. It must be.
Oh, no, it's a beastly woman from upstairs. How dare she drive a biting taxi?
Oh, look, there's another coming round the corner.
Dinner is served, madam.
Ah,
It was lovely of you to think of oysters, dear.
well, they do give one a grand feeling. It's awfully necessary for us to feel grand tonight.
Wouldn't it be awful if Freddie and Willie came home?
Oh, Saunders.
Drunk.
What do you mean?
I said, wouldn't it be dreadful if Fred and Willie came home drunk?
Why should they?
Don't be silly, Julia.
Oh, yes, of course. Frightful, I'd forgotten it was Saturday.
Saturday?
Yes, but it's naturally depressing in November because of the farm.
Oh, yes, of course, but only if you pay your subscription in advance.
Thank you, Saunders. Oh, poor Saunders.
She looked extremely startled.
Now, you really must be more careful, Jane.
I'm sorry, but I quite forgot she was there.
I say, wouldn't it be too wonderful if he suddenly arrived now?
Oh, I should choke.
We're bound to get the most frightful shock when we do see him.
Well, I don't really see why.
He's bound to have got fat or something.
Oh, no, he won't have changed. He wouldn't come at all if he had, because he's far too conceited.
Oh, no, not conceited. A little vain, perhaps, naturally.
Oh, with those eyes, who can blame him?
And those hands.
And teeth.
And legs. Oh, Jane.
Oh, Julia.
Oh,
madam.
The cushions of the carriages are always so dusty, I find.
She ought never to have been burnt at the stake, because she's such a very nice girl.
Oh, I can hardly wait for Strawberries to come in again.
Be careful, madam. It's very hot.
Thank you, I will.
Will you have some more champagne?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on, do.
Oh, well, teach it up.
Yeah, I'm feeling much better now. Aren't you?
Yes. I adore this little sausage with my egg.
Oh, yes, it is sweet, isn't it?
I suddenly have beastly pangs about Fred and Willie.
What do I?
We're being so disloyal.
Yes, but only in thought so far.
He's probably gone straight to a hotel. He'll have a lovely hot bath, change his clothes, and come on hereafter.
I wonder.
Oh, yes. He always had a bath after a journey, remember?
I haven't forgotten, dear.
And he'll wear a soft silk shirt with his dinner jacket. So beautifully careless.
No, do stop, Jane. You're making me feel dreadful.
I can see him now, threading his way between the tables outside Floyans on the Piazza San Marco. We used to have coffee there always, and then stroll languidly along the Piazzetta. I wore a lovely green shawl, and then drift over the lagoon, hitch our gondola to a serenata, and lie back and look up at the stars while darling little men in soft shirts poured out their sentimental souls in the most shattering tenor voices. Sometimes you wouldn't stop at all.
No.
But just glide on over the Piccolo Canales until we suddenly came out into the big lagoon behind Venice, away from everywhere. Just one or two buildings rising up like ghosts through the mist. Then Maurice would take me in his arms, and the world seemed to go.
West of circuses, I'm always so terrified that they ill-treat the animals.
Poor George, oh, poor George, and he was so charming before we married.
I hope you haven't forgotten the sauce béarnaise, Saunders.
No, madam, it's here.
I'm sure it'll be most delicious.
I have some more champagne.
All right.
Pull yourself together, Jane.
I can't. It's agony.
No, leave the potatoes, Saunders, and answer the door.
Oh, very good, madam. Eat a little soft bread, madam.
Oh, don't let him in. Not yet.
Eat some bread, Jane. Saunders told you to, and she always knows best.
Oh, it's all right. I'm better.
It's a foreign gentleman, madam.
Well, why didn't you show him in?
He says he won't come in. He only wants to know if there's a Madame Gambaletti living here.
Well, what's he like?
Quite respectable, madam, but with a long moustache.
Oh, come on, Jane. We'll pee. Oh. Well, why didn't you tell him there was no Madam What's-her-name here and get rid of him?
You said you were expecting a foreign gentleman, madam, and I thought I'd better keep him in case.
Well, get rid of him now.
Very good, madam.
Oh, it's downright cruel. That's what it is.
Well, it's the first time that anybody not aggressively English has rung that bell since we came here.
And he would come after his beastly Madame Gambaletti tonight of all nights. It's indecent.
More champagne.
No, thank you.
Well, don't shout.
I shall shout if I like, Julia. You mustn't be dictatorial.
Well, let's have a toast.
Maurice Duclos.
Maurice Duclos. No heel taps.
Oh. That was silly of us.
Oh, no heel taps. I eat some steak. Quickly.
Julia, wouldn't it be awful if a tree blew down and killed Fred and Willie on the golf links?
Oh, Jane. How can you?
Well, it would serve us right.
It'd be too awful. I should never forgive myself.
Neither should I.
There's a frightful gale blowing.
Oh, the wind. Oh, such things do happen.
No, they don't. Not if you don't think about them. It's mind over matter.
Oh, Julia, I do admire you because you're so strong and sensible.
No nonsense, dear. It's just that I'm not afraid of life.
You're brave.
But I'm no braver than you, Jane, darling.
Oh, we must both be brave, always.
Well, we must be brave always, whatever happens.
Even if Fred and Willie were killed, we should have to bear it.
Oh, yes, Jane. We wouldn't break down, would we? We'd face the world with a smile.
Well, not quite a smile, because we might be misunderstood.
Oh, poor darling Fred. I can see Fred now being carried in on a stretcher.
There's Willie on another stretcher. Oh, dear.
Oh, no, Jane, dear, don't. Have some more champagne.
Oh, thank you.
Here you are.
Oh, thanks, darling.
The silly parties that I'm now beginning to feel sleepy.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just cozy.
Now, I'm terribly, terribly sleepy. Bring in the coffee, Saunders.
Yes, madam.
Julia,
What a pretty girl Saunders is.
Oh, yes, isn't she? A pretty girl.
You know, she ought to be a great success in life because she's so calm.
Oh, dear.
What are you laughing at?
Oh, you look frightfully funny.
What's the matter with me?
I don't know, you just do.
No, so do you. Oh, have a look at yourself.
You know, it's our heads, I think. They're far too big.
That's because we've had too much champagne.
Oh, much too much.
Let's sit down.
All right.
Wouldn't it be awful if the King and Queen suddenly came in?
Oh, I don't think they will. They're at Sandringham. Anyway, Saunders would announce them.
I'm beginning to feel warm and comfortable.
Yes, I'm feeling absolutely splendid myself. I couldn't feel better. A child could play with me.
I don't mind what happens now. I'm just past everything.
Ah, thank you, Saunders. Now, will you have some coffee?
Thank you.
Liqueur?
Don't be ridiculous.
Benedictine, please, Saunders.
Yes, madam. Should we have them in tumblers?
I ordered Benedictine for you. I thought it would round off the meal so nicely.
It certainly will.
Oh, beg your pardon.
Oh, it's terribly strong.
Yes, well, it's supposed to make you feel rather...
Oh, how thoughtful of you, dear.
Will you have some fruit?
Oh, I couldn't.
Oh, do. It rounds off the meal so nicely.
For God's sake, stop rounding off the meal because it's getting on my nerves.
Don't be so temperamental, Jane.
Well, it's only a suggestion, but do you think it would matter if I took off my shoes?
Oh, no, not in the least. They always do in Japan, I believe. It's quite an old custom.
If Maurice had any instincts, he'd arrive now, looking marvellous.
I make the most lovely sort of baffled scene.
What would baffle him?
Well, us, of course, because we'd be so gloriously aloof and stately.
Oh, I shouldn't be aloof. I should give in without a murmur.
Oh, well, then he'd want me more.
Well, if you think that's the way to make him, you better encourage me.
Oh, you don't need any encouraging.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, what I say. Anyway, Jane, I should never allow you to cheapen yourself.
How dare you?
Oh, dear, I what?
Insult me.
But I didn't insult you.
You did. You went too far. What you said was beyond a joke.
It wasn't meant to be a joke. I hate jokes bitterly.
Then you meant what I said.
Meant what?
How could anyone carry on a conversation with you when you keep on saying what all the time? If you can't say what I grasp, you'd better go to bed.
That was exceedingly rude of you, Jane.
I'm sorry, Julia, but you're annoying me.
Unfortunately, this happens to be my flat.
Never mind, you'll get used to it in time.
Oh, stop bickering, Jane.
Can I stop bickering when you sit there abusing me?
I never abused you.
Yes, you did. You insinuated that I was brazen.
Well, so you are brazen sometimes. We all are. It's human nature to be brazen
Nothing
sometimes.
of the sort.
Oh, do stop contradicting everything I say. It's infuriating me now.
Who was it who wouldn't leave London this morning?
But why should I want to leave London this morning? I'm very, very disappointed in you. I thought you had a nicer mind than that.
I suppose you think your mind is a lovely gilt basket filled with mixed fruit with a bow on the top.
Well, it's better than being an old sardine tin with a few fins left in it.
You regret that remark in your soberer moments.
Have a cigarette.
Thank you.
A light.
No, thank you.
Perhaps you'd like a little soft music. Shall I put the gramophone on?
Yes, if it had put you in a better temper.
Oh, I had such an amusing letter from Aunt Harriet this morning.
Did you? I thought she was dead.
I think you must be muddling her up with someone else.
Go on, dear. Tell me some more news. I love you when you're offended.
Oh, I'm not offended, Jane. A little hurt, perhaps, in surprise.
How dare you draw yourself up and become the outraged hostess with me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have lost my sense of humour. Perhaps because I'm tired. We've been together so much lately, I think we're grating on one another's nerves.
Oh, you're right. Now, tell me, where are my shoes?
I really don't know, but they can't have gone far.
Oh, I should like to shake you until your eyes drop out.
Indeed.
Yes, when you're superior and grand like that, you rouse the very worst in me.
Obviously.
You make me feel like a French Revolution virago. Julia, I'd like to rush up and down Bond Street with one of your tiny heads on a pole.
I think it would be as well for you to pull yourself together, and I'll ask Saunders to help you to your
If
flat.
she comes near me, I shall throttle her.
Oh, I've never actually seen you violent before. It's very interesting, psychologically.
I could bring you down to earth in 1 moment if I liked.
Oh, what vulgarity.
This is not vulgarity. It's something I was more ashamed of than vulgarity. But I'm not ashamed of it anymore, Julia. I've kept something from you.
I wish you'd go home, Jane.
I must have realised all along you were going to turn out false and beastly.
So what are you talking
Never
about?
you mind what I'm talking about. Oh, where are my shoes?
Never mind about your shoes. What do you mean?
Give me my shoes.
Oh, well, they're probably under the table.
Oh, I suppose you're still far too grand to be curious. It concerns Maurice.
Oh, it concerns Maurice, does it?
Yes, I thought that would rouse you.
Well, I think you better tell me if you don't want to wreck our friendship forever.
Oh, it'll certainly wreck our friendship when I do tell you, and I don't care. Julia, I know where he is.
Well, that's a lie.
No, it's true. He telephoned me while I was dressing tonight.
Jane!
Yes, I didn't want to tell you because I thought it would have hurt your feelings, but now I know that you haven't got any feelings to hurt. Only a shallow sort of social vanity.
Well, where is he then? Tell me.
I shall do nothing of the sort. I don't want you to rush round there and make a fool of yourself.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you! I'll never speak to you again in all my life. You're utterly, completely contemptible. If it's true, you're nothing but a snivelling hypocrite, and if it's false, you're a barefaced liar. There's nothing to choose between you. Please go at once.
Go? I'm only too delighted. Oh, you must curb your social sense, Julia, if it leads you to drunken orgies and abuse.
Oh, go away.
Certainly I shall. And it may interest you to know that I'm going straight to Maurice.
Liar, liar.
It's true. And I shall go away with him at once. And you and Fred and Willie can go to hell. The whole lot of you.
Oh, no. When I say a soft-boiled egg, Saunders, I don't mean an unboiled egg.
So long as I know, madam.
There was also a long blonde hair in the marmalade.
Was there, madam?
I haven't the remotest idea how it got there, as we are both distinct brunettes. Anyway, please in future search the marmalade.
Very good, madam.
And you may clear away now.
Very good, madam.
Hello, operator. Operator? Park 5703, please. Yes, 03. Oops, I do beg your pardon. But it can't possibly still be engaged, my good woman. You suffer from both incompetence and stupidity.
Good morning, Julia.
What? Oh, Willie. What on earth are you doing here? Where's Fred?
I left him at the Grand Hotel, Chichester.
Where's Jane?
Don't you know?
I haven't the faintest idea. She might be anywhere by now.
What do you mean by now?
Just by now.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
What's happened?
Oh, everything, probably, by now.
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
don't be tiresome, Willie.
I made sure Jane would be with you. Where's she gone?
Stop cross-questioning me, and anyone would think I'd murdered her and put her in a box or something.
Well, from the furtive way you're behaving, I shouldn't be in the least surprised.
What about you? What do you mean by leaving Fred alone at the Grand Hotel, Chichester?
We had a row last night.
Oh, did you?
Yes, Fred infuriated
Well,
me.
I'm very sorry. I'll speak to him severely.
Thank you. I felt I couldn't bear to meet him at breakfast and go all over it again, so I crept out and left by the early train.
What did you row about?
Nothing.
That's the worst kind.
Have you quarrelled with Jane?
Yes, bitterly.
What about?
Nothing.
Oh.
Got drunk.
What?
Extremely drunk.
Julia.
Well, Jane was much worse than I was.
If I can't go away for a quiet game of golf without you making Jane drunk...
I didn't make her. It was voluntary.
Disgusting, I call it.
Banged out of the flat.
Well, where is she now?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Well, don't be callous, Julia.
Probably at home in bed, sleeping it off.
She isn't. I've just been there.
But I thought you came straight here.
No, I had a large bag and golf clubs.
Are you sure that Jane isn't at home?
Perfectly. I didn't worry because I thought she'd be with you.
Well, then it was true then.
What was true?
Oh.
What in God's name's the matter?
And I was going to ring her up and try to make friends again. Didn't believe for a moment that she was going off.
Didn't believe what?
Oh, she must have been steadily deceiving me all through dinner. And how dare she? Oh, no!
Julia, will you stop still and explain what's happened?
I'll stop still and explain. I'll explain, all right. Sly underhand.
Will you
little-
please remember that you are referring to my wife?
Your wife? Oh, optimist.
Julia.
Oh, Willie, my poor, poor, poor Willie.
You're maddening me, Julia.
To think that she could behave like that after all these years. It's contemptible.
What's happened to Jane? Where's she gone?
I should like to break it to you gently, Willie. She's gone off with a man.
What?
A Frenchman.
Nonsense. She can't have.
I tell you she has.
I don't believe it. You're unhinged.
I'm perfectly hinged, it's true.
I'm sorry, Julia, but I don't believe it. I know Jane too well. She'd never rush off like that at a moment's notice.
She knew where he was all the time, and she went to him.
She was pulling your leg.
Oh, don't be so pig-headed, Willie. This is one of the few big moments in your life, and you're behaving like a ninny.
If you think stamping up and down the room and blackguarding Jane is a big moment in my life, you're very much mistaken.
But it's true. She's known him for years. She was in love with him before she married you.
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, your smug complacency is beyond belief. I suppose you think that no woman would ever dare to leave you.
Jane couldn't. She'd hate it.
Well, you're going to have a shattering awakening.
I say, Julia, just calm down and explain things quietly. I'll pour myself out some coffee, if I may.
Oh, Willie. Oh.
What's up now?
I'm a beast. A traitress.
No, you're not. You're just thoroughly hysterical. You'll be better in a moment.
Yes, but, Willie, I'm sorry, but what I told you just now was true, Willie.
I am trying hard to understand. I can't help feeling that there's something awfully silly behind all this. Who is this man she's supposed to be with?
Oh, he's a Frenchman. Maurice Duclos. Both knew him before we were married.
Did you know him well?
Extremely well.
And Jane? Was Jane in love with him then?
Yes, violently. We both were.
Did you, did you?
Yes, Willie.
Where?
Pisa.
And did Jane ever...
Yes, Willie.
Good God, where?
Venice, I think.
Oh, this is horrible. Incredible.
Oh, look, Willie, I'm
You
sorry.
better save your apologies for Fred. I'm going to find Jane.
Oh, well, then I'm coming with you, Willie.
Has she seen this man since we've been married?
No. At least I don't know. She's such a liar.
I think you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Willie, are you daring to disapprove of me?
Yes, you're devoid of the slightest moral sense.
And what about Jane?
Jane? Jane's different. She's just weak. You probably set her a bad example.
I set her a
I
bad
wouldn't
example.
mind betting you met the beastly man first and then told Jane all about it and generally egged her on.
Oh, she didn't need any egging on. She met him and then she didn't tell me anything about it for ages afterwards.
She was probably too ashamed and repentant.
Repentant, my foot.
Anyhow, it's more than you are. You're positively glorying in your shame.
If I'd known what a smart little man you were, I'd never have let Jane marry you
And
anyway.
if I'd known how utterly lacking you were in all the finer feelings, I'd never have let Fred come near you.
Well, I should think it would be as well to stop hurling abuse at me and go in search of your weak but strictly virtuous wife. Oh, she hasn't succeeded in finding Maurice Duclos by now. Is probably roaming about the streets in deep evening dress and hiccuping.
You must come with me.
I shall do no such thing.
You said you would.
Well, that was before your insults to me.
Julia, do come.
And where should we go first? Bow Street?
She can't have gone far.
Judging by her condition when she left this flat last night, she might have gone further than our wildest dreams.
Please come, Julia.
Well, I'll come back to your flat. She may have left a note or something.
Oh, I never thought of that. Look here, Julia. I'm sorry for what I said just now.
And so you ought to be.
But I still don't believe it all. Quite.
I want to make one thing perfectly clear to you. I am not coming with you because I wish to help you. I'm coming because I wish to find Jane and tell her exactly what I think of her.
I say, Julia, don't be beastly to her. She's probably feeling pretty awful.
I don't care if she's feeling heavenly. She won't be when I've finished with her.
Hello? Mr. Sterrell's residence? Well, I'm afraid Mrs. Sterrell isn't in. When will she be back? Well, I don't know, sir. She didn't say. Yes, sir. What name, sir? One moment, sir. I'll write it down on the telephone pad. Maurice... Oh, pardon. Maurice Duclos, Park 9264. Bien, monsieur, je n'y manquerai pas. Oh, Au revoir, monsieur.
Good morning, Saunders.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Where's the mistress?
She's gone out, sir.
Gone out, but it's pouring.
Yes, sir.
Where's she gone?
I don't know, sir.
Oh, she's upstairs with Mrs. Banbury, I expect. Run up, will you, and tell her I've come back?
Very good, sir. What number is it, sir?
Number 5, 2 floors up.
Very good, sir.
I never realized that you cared for me.
Fred.
I never Good heavens!
What?
Have you been out all night?
Yes.
Huh. Lucky for you, I left Willie at Chichester.
Oh, you did you?
Yeah, sleeping like a hog. I left early in the car.
Why?
Well, as a matter of fact, we had rather a row last night. If you'll forgive me saying so, your husband is a fool sometimes.
I've always found him extremely intelligent.
Where have you been?
Mind your own business.
Don't jump down my throat. It was quite a harmless question.
I object to your dictatorial tone.
Well, to come in like that at 11 o'clock in the morning is a little...
If I choose to come in naked on a tricycle, it's no affair of yours. Where's Julia?
I don't know. She went out before I arrived.
Out? Out where?
I haven't the faintest idea. I thought she'd probably be with you.
The mistress isn't at Mrs. Banbury's, sir. Oh,
Don't look so startled, Saunders. You left the door open, so I walked in.
yes, madam.
Saunders, what time did the mistress go out?
Just before you came in, sir.
Was she alone?
No, sir, there was a gentleman with her.
A what?
A gentleman, madam.
Who was it?
I don't know, sir. He didn't leave any name. He just walked straight in.
What was he like?
About medium height, madam, and dark.
Dark, was he?
Why? What's the matter?
I'm extremely sorry for you, Fred. Extremely sorry for you.
Yes, that'll do, Saunders.
Very good, sir.
Now then, Jane, what do you mean?
Don't speak to me for a moment. Just don't speak to me. I'm trying to control myself.
What's all this mystery about?
There is no mystery, I'm afraid. Not anymore. It's all far too clear.
Jane, tell me at once what's happened.
Fred, you'll know all too soon enough. Julia was my friend. I have no intention of being disloyal.
Jane, tell me what
I
happened.
can't possibly. Julia may be double-faced, treacherous, and thoroughly immoral, but I repeat, she was my friend.
Oh, I see. You had a row last night, too.
Yes, we did.
What about?
I don't know. Julia spoke rather indistinctly.
Do you know where she's gone now?
I have a shrewd suspicion, but my lips are sealed.
Tell me at once.
I can't possibly. Oh, look, what's this? Oh, no. No!
What's the matter now?
So she knew all the time! Oh!
Knew what?
How dare she? How dare she? It's contemptible. It's... Oh! The sneaking hypocrite. Oh, the despicable squalor of it all, to be deceived like that by one's best friend and for such a sordid purpose. Oh! Oh! Oh!
Let's have a look at that message pad. Who's this Maurice Duclos?
Don't speak to me. Don't speak to me.
What does this mean?
It means that Julia has deserted you.
Deserted me?
Yes, she's gone off with that Frenchman, Maurice Duclos. She's known him for years, long before you were married, in Italy.
Are you mad, Jane?
No, I'm terribly sane.
But you surely don't expect me to believe that Julia would leave me suddenly without rhyme or reason?
Oh, she'd do anything. She hasn't a single scruple or a pang of conscience anywhere. She'd lie, slander, forge, thieve, murder, anything. She's a thorough, out-and-out bad lot. She's a...
Oh, pull yourself together, Jane. You're overwrought just because you've had a row with Julia.
No, go away, leave me alone.
You know perfectly well you like her better than anyone else in the world and always will.
Stop, Fred, stop.
She's probably feeling just as bad as you are at this very moment.
Not she, she's far too busy.
Jane, do please control yourself.
I came back, even before going home, because I wanted to make up with her. I've had a wretched night all by myself in a hotel in Bayswater.
Why on earth Bayswater?
Because the taxi man took me there. Oh, Fred. Fred, I'll tell you everything.
Yes.
It's awful. Julia and I were both drunk.
Oh.
And before we were married, we both had an affair with the same man.
No.
And he's come to England. And we were terrified we'd fall in love with him again. We worked ourselves up and waited. And after dinner, Julia got grand and ordered me out of the house. So I pretended I knew where he was and was going straight to him. And I went to a hotel in Bayswater.
Was he there?
Was he there?
Yes.
No, of course he wasn't.
Where is he then?
With Julia.
Ridiculous. I don't believe a word of it.
Nothing of the sort. Here's his name, and it's in capitals on the telephone block, and Saunders saw them go out together.
You say you both knew him in Italy before you were married?
Yes, Fred.
And you both?
Yes, Fred.
Oh, don't stand there and say yes, Fred.
Well, it's true, Fred.
You appall me absolutely, you dreadful matter-of-fact callousness. Yes, Fred. Oh, my God.
Don't be so melodramatic.
Melodramatic. It's horrible, awful. I suppose you feel proud of yourself having led Julia into this blackguard's clutches.
Led her? That's funny.
Yes, led her, deliberately. You've got a depraved mind.
And you are insufferable and pompous. I suppose you expect me to believe you led a model life before marriage.
That's beside the point.
No, it isn't. If you had, Julia would never have married. She would have been far too dull.
Jane!
Well, it's no use going on like that. It's just stupid. The great thing is, what are we going to do now?
Do? I'm going to find Julia.
That'll be nice.
And you're coming with me.
Oh, no, I'm not. I've seen quite enough of Julia to last me for the rest of my life.
You're coming with me.
Oh, no, I can't go like this.
You'll have to.
Oh, let me go at once.
I'm quite determined.
Help! Fred!
Jane, Julia, where have you been?
So it was you who went out with Julia and
Good
not...
morning, Jane.
Julia, I've done something awful.
I'm not at all surprised.
How did you get up here?
I left by the early train.
Julia, you must listen. I haven't been where you thought. I've been all by myself at a hotel in Bayswater.
What?
Well, I came back here to find you and found Fred. Saunders said she'd seen you go out with a man, and I found his name on the telephone block.
Oh, what are we to do now? Jane, I think it only fair for you to know that I've told Willie everything.
Julia?
Yes, everything.
And I've told Fred a good deal, too.
Oh.
I want to get this cleared up, please. Willie, what has Julia told you?
About Jane and a snivelling Frenchman in Venice.
Hypocrite.
What's Jane told you?
About Julia and a Frenchman in Pisa.
Well, I'll never speak to you again in all my life.
It's not true. We made it up. It's all a joke.
She's lying, Julia. Tell me the truth.
Yes, certainly I will. It's all a fuss about nothing. Well, Jane and I have been perfectly faithful to you both always.
Before marriage?
Well, we couldn't be faithful to you before we met you, could we?
Is this Frenchman's story true?
Jane, forgive me for everything. We've got to stand together now. They're both going to be perfectly beastly.
All right. Willie.
Fred, listen. You must listen.
Monsieur Maurice Duclos.
Oh.
Julia!
Oh, comme c'est très longtemps. C'est émotionnant.
Oh.
Jane, je suis enchanté, ravi, ma chère Jane.
Julia.
This is agony. Sheer agony.
Willie, may I present Monsieur Duclos, my husband?
Good morning.
How do you do?
Maurice, this is my husband.
Yeah. Oh, how do you do? I had no idea. I haven't seen Julia for so long.
When did you last see Jane?
Yeah, beg your pardon.
Shut up, Willie.
Well, you speak English very well now.
Oh, yes.
Do you think we've changed?
Oh, not at all. I met your wife abroad years ago. It is so strange renewing old friendships.
Damn strange.
Willie.
I should like to have a little chat with you sometime, Monsieur Duclos. There are several things I want explained.
I will be charmed.
I can't stand this any longer. Look here. You arrived at a very opportune moment. We've just discovered that...
What have you discovered?
Maurice, let me explain. Our husbands have found out that you and Jane and I were very intimate friends in Italy some years ago. They've only just this moment found out, and I must apologize for their surly behavior, but they're naturally rather upset.
Oh, it has succeeded beyond your wildest dreams, then, hasn't it?
What do you mean?
It was cruel of you to ask me here this morning without warning me. It was cruel of you. It would serve you right if I gave you away.
You needn't trouble. They've already done that for themselves.
Yeah, please. Julia, let me tell them the truth.
Yes, Maurice, please tell them the truth.
I'm going mad.
Be quiet, Jane.
I'm afraid we already know the truth. There's nothing much more to be said.
So, you love your wife, monsieur?
Mind your own business.
What do you mean? What are you getting at?
I have your permission to speak, Julia.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'm afraid it's all been rather what you would call a put-up job.
Put-up job?
Yes, you see, I have known Jane and Julia for a very long while. They're great friends. They confide in me.
The hell they do.
It would make it much easier, monsieur, if you were not so angry. I give you my word, there is nothing to worry about.
I'm glad you think so. We have rather a different sense of values in England.
Here.
An obvious remark, monsieur, and not very much to the point.
And what is the point?
Had not the suspicion ever crossed your minds that here in England, the husbands take their wives a little too much for granted sometimes?
So they ought to.
Huh? It's a little dull for the wives. In France, of course, it's all arranged so differently. There are so many diversions.
What are you trying to say?
Perhaps Jane and Julia require a little more attention than you are prepared to give.
Rubbish.
It isn't rubbish, is it, Julia?
Certainly not.
What I want to know is whether this revolting story is true. Is it or isn't it?
But of course it isn't. We made a plan, Julia, Jane, and myself.
God impertinent.
Well, you see, after a time, one reaches a rather critical matrimonial period, as a rule. The first romance is over, everything seems slightly gauche. Our plan was to rouse you up to a sense of your responsibilities, don't you see?
That was extremely kind of you.
Oh, don't go on being cross, Fred. It's all such ridiculous nonsense.
I don't understand at all.
Well, we've muddled it so fearfully, or at least you did, by coming home unexpectedly. It's taken all the wind out of our sails. Jane was going to break it to Fred that I'd run off with Maurice, and I was going to break it to Willie that she'd run off with Maurice. And as it was, you appeared much too early before we were properly rehearsed. Oh, it's such supreme nonsense, so please forgive us.
How long have you been in England?
3 weeks.
Was this what you were hinting at yesterday morning, Julia, when you said that you had a presentiment and that I didn't love you anymore?
Oh, no.
Yes, don't you see? She was paving the way, that's what she was doing.
Shush, Jane.
I shan't shush, it's all so stupid. And we were right, it's cleared the air. They were too sure of us. Much.
No, will you have a drink, Maurice? Fred is still too flurried to be hospitable.
Oh, I'm sorry, it never struck me. Whiskey and soda.
No, thank you. I really only come down for a minute. I have the flat exactly above this one for a year.
What?
And Jane and Julia promised to help me to choose an attractive cretonne for my curtains.
Oh, yes, we did. That's quite true. Oh, pull yourself together, Jane.
Perhaps you'd all come up. It's a bit untidy at present, but you won't mind.
No, thanks. I've got to change.
Oh, they're sending for the patterns back at 12 o'clock.
Oh, we'll come up now.
Oh, look here, Julia.
Would you rather I didn't, Fred?
No, well, perhaps it's all right. Look, I must apologize to you for being so boorish. It was all very puzzling.
Come on, Jane.
Will you all lunch with me today? It's so dull being alone.
Thanks, but I think that I...
Yes, it's very nice of you. We'd be delighted.
Look here, Fred.
Shut up, Willie.
Oh, you are a darling, Fred. Now, come along, Maurice. We won't be more than 10 minutes, Fred, darling, choosing the patterns.
Oh, Willie, don't be cross.
But I don't quite see why.
Don't try to see any
But
more.
Jane,
No more buts.
But Jane, why are you in evening dress?
Yes. Well, it was all part of the plan, wasn't it, Julia? You were to discover me dead drunk in the downstairs hall, and we were going to rehearse this morning.
Yes, well, come along now, Jane.
You know, it's damn funny, it really is.
What?
The way we arrived and spoiled their little game.
But look here, Fred.
Have a drink.
Oh, all right.
You never know what Jane and Julia will do next when they start discussing analytically.
It isn't what they'll do next. It's what they did last.
I don't think he's at all a bad chap, that Frenchman.
Oh, I wouldn't trust him an inch.
The lies they told.
Thanks. You seem to have completely wiped it from your mind, the whole thing.
Well, I never believed Jane from the first when she told me that lurid story about Italy.
Oh, it seems very queer to me still.
Oh, dry up.
But it does, even if they got away with their scheme. What good would it have done them?
Made us jealous.
Oh, don't be an abject fool, Fred. He was bluffing us. The whole damn thing's true from beginning to end. I'm sure of it.
Why?
I've never seen Jane hysterical like that before. She must have been upset over something.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. Do you realize that we've let them both go up to his flat alone?
Willie,
Fred!
Isabel Dean and Mary Wimbush played Jane and Julia in Noel Coward's Fallen Angels. Their husbands were played by Michael Spice and William Fox. Saunders was played by Hilda Schroeder, and Maurice Duclos by Nigel Graham. The play was adapted and produced by Ian Cottrell.
The House of Maria Alexandrovna, the first lady in the town of Mordatsov. What a pleasant place Maria Alexandrovna's salon looks. She likes to call her drawing room her salon. A bright fire is burning in the hearth, and Maria is sitting beside it, beaming on Mr. Paul Mozgliakov, who is holding forth on the hearthrug. Very presentable young fellow, this Mozgliakov. From time to time, he glances to the window seat where a young lady is sitting reading. This is Zina, Maria Alexandrovna's daughter. Zina is a beauty. The tea table is in the middle of the room, and Nastasia Petrovna, a resident friend of the family, is presiding over it with smiles. Oh, but the air here. The air. It's shimmering with excitement. We can positively see it around Maria Alexandrovna like a full-length aureole.
About the reaction I might
Nonsense, Paul. We're delighted you've come back to visit us a fortnight too early, aren't we, Zina? Aren't we delighted?
Oh, yes, Mother.
I'm dash glad, too. You see, I felt
Especially considering whom you've brought with you, Paul.
Divine Providence. I can call it nothing else. If you had not set out to visit us this morning, you'd never have come on the dear Count in that terrible wayside predicament.
Upside down in his carriage, in the snow. Ooh.
But what a long time he is in his room. I wonder, should I go up? Perhaps he was hurt after all.
Quite impossible, I assure you, Maria Alexandrovna. Dear old uncle has nothing left to get injured.
What do you mean?
Packs more of himself away under the bed these nights than he puts to sleep on it.
Paul!
You've seen him, dash it. Cleared 80, but got up to look like the figure of a bridegroom on a wedding cake.
The Count has been given eternal youth.
But how did you persuade him to come to us? I mean, he was going somewhere else, was he not, when he turned upside down?
My dear Nastasia Petrovna, one doesn't persuade Uncle these days. When I'd sat him the right way up and blasted into him who I was, memory completely gone, you know, I lugged him across to my own sleigh and brought him with me, that's all.
Heaven will bless you for it. 6 years, 6 long years since I set eyes on him.
It's 6 years since anyone set eyes on him.
It's tragic. Shut away in that country house and guarded. That's the only word for it. Guarded by that monstrous market woman.
Stepanida Matveyevna. Monstrous is right. She's head and shoulders taller than me, and as broad as she's long.
You've seen the creature, Paul. You've actually seen her.
I'll say I have. She chased me down the drive with a broom last Easter when I called to say Christ is risen to Uncle.
Oh, you poor boy. My heart bleeds for you. Zina, did you hear that?
What, Mother?
Paul was chased with a broom last Easter when he tried to say Christ is risen to his uncle.
Oh, is the old man an atheist?
Zina, you sit there reading a book and not listening to a word we're saying.
But why is such a creature as Stepanida Matveyevna in the Count's house at all? That's what I want to know.
Planted there by the relatives, sort of nurse, keeper, servant, groom, all in one.
But you're a relative yourself. You're his nephew, Paul. Sure.
I'm not, you know. Oh, I call Uncle Uncle, of course, but I'm only dimishly connected through my great-aunt Aglaya, who's dead.
And how did he escape from the monster today?
That much I did get out of him. It seems this Stepanida Matveyevna's mother or father, or both, started to die in Moscow about 4 or 5 days ago, so she just had to pack her baskets and go. Then dear old uncle, left on his own, took it into his head to visit the hermitage here. He'd heard that one of the monks had started to fly or milk a bull or perform some such miracle.
Divine Providence, all of it. When I think what hands the Count could have fallen into in this town.
Anna Nikolaevna's, for example.
Or her newfound friend at the gossip troughs, Natalia Mitraevna's.
They both go arsenic green when they know we've got him.
They know it already. What do you expect? I found their 2 servants snuffing round my kitchen before breakfast. But I really must go upstairs and see what's happening to the Count. Do excuse me, Paul. The servants are being blockish, I know. Excuse me.
And excuse me too, please, both of you.
Oh, you're not going to see the Count as well, Nastasia Petrovna?
No. There are a few things I ought to do, and I'm sure you two... Excuse me.
Zina, you're not angry?
No. Why should I be angry?
Because I'm back too soon.
No, I'm not angry, Paul, but you can hardly expect me to be delighted at being taken for a fool.
Taken for a fool?
What else? A month ago, you came here and asked me to marry you, and I said no.
But later, Zina, later...
Later, when you went on and on, I said I would think it over if you would give me a month by myself to do so. And you agreed to that, Paul.
I know. but
And
I
now
simply-
you are back after only 2 weeks.
I just couldn't bear it, Zena. I was living in hell. I drove all night.
Does
I
it
nearly...
mean you want my answer here and now?
No, Zena, no. It doesn't mean that.
Then what? Do you wish me to go on, Paul? To try to thrash this thing out with myself during the next few weeks?
Yes, I do. That is what I want.
All right. But you must promise to leave me alone in the meantime. Because otherwise...
I promise. Zena, I swear.
Quick, he's coming down, he's on the stairs. Fresh tea, the samovar, quick. Where's Nastasia Petrovna, in heaven's name?
Behind you, Maria Alexandrovna.
The samovar, quick, get it on the boil. The Count simply must... Zena, that book. For heaven's sake, put it under a cushion. If the Count sees a book in the room, he'll swear we're all nihilists.
Count Gavrila, is it really you I am seeing again, dear Count? Tell me, is it really you?
I trust so, dear lady, if I think I'm here.
Of course you are, Uncle. Large as life and twice as natural.
Eh? Oh, it's you, my dear fellow. Always sprouting up like a mushroom. Delightful, delightful.
May I present my daughter, Zena, Count?
Your daughter. Mais quelle beauté, quelle beauté.
When you graced the governor's ball 6 years ago, Count, Zena was most regrettably absent.
Most regrettably. Allow me, mademoiselle, to salute with my lips this exquisite little...
Steady on, Unky. Floor a bit slippery for knee bending and hand kissing, you know.
Oh, thank you, my dear fellow. My knees, they've lately developed a strange individuality, especially before lunch.
Mine too. Oh, Count, how very much alike we are.
Tea is ready.
This is my cousin, Count, Nastasia Petrovna.
Ah, delighted, delighted.
We have met before, Count. Oh, surely you haven't forgotten me.
Forgotten? Non, c'est impossible. I never forget a lady's face, nor her... no, never.
Zenitchka, darling, the Count's tea.
Elle est charmante. You remind me, mademoiselle, of a lady long since dead and rotten.
How beautifully you turn a phrase, Count. An art quite lost to the younger generation.
I hope you've recovered from your accident, Count.
My what?
This morning in your sleigh.
Ah, yes, terrible. And when some strange fellow stuck his head through the window...
That was me, Uncle.
You? Oh, so it was. Do you know, my boy, at first I thought that you were the Archangel Gabriel.
Did you really, Uncle?
Yes, and I was struck with a remarkable idea. An idea worthy of the poet Dante.
What was that?
Eh?
Your idea.
What idea?
When you thought I was the Archangel Gabriel.
Did I think you were the Archangel Gabriel? Ah, well, it must have been the shock to my nose.
The shock to your nose?
Hasn't Pascal got it in one of his pensées? We are ever deceived by our eyes, but never by our noses.
Oh, Count, dear Count, how could you have deprived us of this wit and learning for so long?
How could I? Do you know, my boy?
I think you meant to visit them, Uncle.
Yes, I meant to visit you.
Then why did you refrain, dear Count?
Well, yes, I remember. You all had the foot and mouth disease.
Foot and mouth? Oh, Count.
And I was frightened, very frightened. You see, my father died of a disease that he caught from a duck.
A duck?
Don't you mean a parrot, Uncle?
If you say so, my boy. Anyway, he crowed like a cock, night and day for a month. No one got a wink of sleep.
How very terrible.
Yes, a charming daughter, charming. So reminds me of a lady long since...
Come on now, Uncle. We must be off.
Eh? Off where?
To visit the governor.
Oh, what a stimulating idea. Oh, must we go?
Yes, and before lunch. So come along.
All right, all right. Fetch me my harness.
Your harness, Uncle?
Oh, no. That's at home with Stepanida Matveyevna.
Does she put you in harness, Uncle, when you go visiting?
No, not visiting. When I take my morning stroll, a most satisfactory device. Stepanida Matveyevna takes the reins, and I can gambol about, With or without my knees, if you understand me.
I'm glad you have uttered that name, Count.
What name?
Stepanida Matveyevna. Your housekeeper.
Oh, it's a name I frequently utter. A most remarkable creature.
Remarkable?
She has greater dimensions than any woman I've ever met, even in Bulgaria.
Come on, Uncle. We must be off.
No, we must. Au revoir, mesdames. Adieu, mon charmant demoiselle. I'll see you in a minute, my boy. I must just go to jot down a thought that has struck me.
Stop it, Paul. Stop it, I beg you. It's tragic, not laughable. Change that has been wrought in a vigorous, noble mind. The work of that infernal peasant woman, Stepanida Matveyevna, I'm sure.
Putting him into harness.
It's a waste of it. Criminal waste.
Waste, Mother?
Yes, waste. The loss of his presence and influence on our society. He must be rescued at once. That is our duty.
We should marry him off.
What?
A little bride.
Paul, the joke has gone far enough. Nastasia!
It isn't a joke. Uncle can still marry. I mean, so far, there's no legal obstacle. He's not certified. Right. Find him a bride, and let her be as frail as Nastasia Petrovna there.
Oh, Paul.
She could boot out this peasant, harness and all.
Paul, be a good boy and go and look after your relative.
Going.
And you're to bring him straight back here after the governor's, remember?
I'll remember. Au revoir, Zina. See you at lunch. That is, if you haven't all caught foot and mouth disease.
If only a bride could be found for him. Well, if the old man were to make a proposal of marriage as Paul suggests...
What rubbish! The young man is simply a chattering fool.
Indeed. You never seemed to think so before, Maria Alexandrovna.
Well, I think so now. Nastasia Petrovna, go to the kitchen and ask them to get in some champagne for the Count's supper. Nastasia Petrovna?
Champagne? Yes. Yes, I'll tell Nikita to order it now.
Nastasia Petrovna does not go to the kitchen. She's gone the other way along the corridor and is now... Yes, she's going into the room at the other end of it. Now, this used to be an annex to the salon, but it's now locked on that side and used by the family as a box room and dirty linen dump. Nastasia Petrovna is sidestepping the junk with a skill that comes from familiarity. She reaches the locked salon door, removes the key, kneels down, and fixes her hungry widow's ear to the keyhole.
Zina, I've been thinking. Seriously thinking.
I hope, Mother, he didn't inspire your thoughts.
He? Who?
Paul. When he spoke just now of finding a wife for that old man.
Paul is a fool. In many ways, not a fool. I see that now. But there, I confess, he spoke sound common sense. A wife should be found for the Count, and without delay. Not, of course, as he was hinting, that lazy parasite of ours, Nastasia Petrovna, but...
But me, Mother? Is that what you're trying to say? But me?
I confess, Zina, if the Count were to make you an offer, I could only feel it would be...
Obscene, Mother. And absurd, too. He never would.
Zina, how can you speak of the Count like that? A man from one of the most aristocratic families in Russia, an owner of 4,000 souls.
A man 4 times my age, a senile cripple. To be pitied, yes, but even to be thought of as a... I know it is just one of your poetic flights, Mother, but I beg you to spare me of any more of them.
My child, have I ever had one thought in my head that was not for your utter happiness? Have I ever?
Maybe you haven't. But your idea of my happiness and my own idea of it never meet.
They've met now. This day, this second, Zina, I swear. And if you'll only listen...
I will not listen, Mother, if it's going to be about this Count.
It is not about the Count. At least very indirectly. Zina, do you recall that black Tuesday morning 2 years ago when you walked into my bedroom?
Mother, please, Please don't.
And you uttered some of the most terrible words a mother's ear could be called upon to hear. Mamma, you said. Well, in those days, you still called me Mamma. Mamma, I wish to marry the master of the ragged school.
Mother, for God's sake.
And I? Well, you had eyes, you saw. 1 second I was a smiling, happy woman. The next, a mound of senseless flesh on the carpet, between the wardrobe and the bed.
Must you bring this up now? Must you?
Yes, Zina, I must, for it is now a matter of life and death. I repeat, a matter of life and death. When I came out of my swoon, I acted like a tyrant, you thought. Ah, yes, I forbade you to see that boy again. And wasn't I right? Didn't he go there and then and besmirch your name before the lowest and the highest in the town?
He had provocation, I think. And besides, he was ill.
Your last remark was right. He was ill. Today, Zina, that boy is dying.
Dying?
Yes, dying.
It's not true. Vasha? Almighty God!
No, Zina! Rush to your Vasha now, and that's the end. That's the way to kill him. I know what I'm saying, and he's seen now.
How did you know? Who told you?
The doctor. Who else? Yesterday morning we met by chance, and I asked after him.
What did the doctor say? Oh, tell me what he said.
He said one thing, and one thing alone could save the life of that unfortunate youth. And that one thing is impossible to him, pauper as he is.
What thing?
To go now, at once, to... Oh, I've forgotten the name. But a place off the coast of Spain where the rich and titled flock for their health, especially consumptives. 6 months in that place, maybe less, and all would be well. But...
Oh, God! And I did it. I made Vasha ill.
No, Zina, you did not make him ill. But you, and you only, can make him well.
I? How?
By marrying the Count, now, without delay. Zina, did you hear what I said? Did you understand?
I can't believe you've said it, Mother. You'd have me trap this old man into marriage, wait for him to die, and in the meantime use his money for saving...
Oh, you innocent! You splendid, darling innocent. There'd be no bad bargain here on the Count's side. None, none. Couldn't be. Look at the facts, Zina, coldly, even callously. What is the Count now? A man 3/4 in the grave. And what do his remaining days or hours promise him? Degradation. And ever lower degradation under that despicable peasant Stepanida Matveyevna. But married to you, splendid and lovely as you are, and you're feeling a debt to him, wrongly, of course, but feeling a debt. What could his remaining days be but an Arcadia?
Mother, you swear it's true.
I? What?
That Vasha's as ill as that.
Don't take my word. See the doctor yourself. See him now.
And that he can be cured?
See the doctor. In 6 months, he said. And remember this, Zina. In little more than that time, you are certain to be a widow. A countess. Rich and free, of course, to marry whom you please.
And there's no other way but this to save Vasha?
None. We are so poor we couldn't even afford to send the cat abroad, as you very well know. So you see, my darling, you would be acting doubly as a sister of mercy.
I'd be acting vilely.
Vilely? To save a life?
Whatever the object. But what would I have to do?
Nothing, my child, nothing. Your mother will do it all. Only give me leave to go ahead.
Very well. To save Vasha. But I warn you, Mother, if it turns out to be too degrading...
Degrading? I'll swear before my icon, Zina, that not one spot of my...
Oh, rubbish, you noodle.
My God, who admitted that corncrake? I gave strict orders.
Ah, mon ange, I knew you were at home.
Sofia Petrovna, how nice of you to pay a call this morning.
Excuse me, please.
Ah, little Zina.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, who's been sucking the blood of your chick, Maria Alexandrovna? Pale as my pillow.
Young girls, you know. But I was just on the point of going out myself.
I know you are, mon ange. Your sleigh's at the door.
My sleigh?
But minus your Count.
The Count has gone to the governor's.
The governor was out. But
who do you think was waiting at his gates? The lady you've christened Calves Foot Jelly, Natalia Mitrievna, whipped the Count and his nephew out of your sleigh and into her own, and off with them to lunch. Ah, that pudding-headed paragon joined them, of course, giggling away like a thing you wind up. Oh, but wait. Calves Foot Jelly is to have the Count to lunch. And who do you think is to have him to dinner? Her stablemate, of course, Anna Nikolaevna.
I think not.
Oh, there's Mon Ange. You're bright. Hook him again. He's yours. Don't let a brace of cattle like that take him from under your nose. Refuse me their houses, both of them. You've heard, I suppose, and the scurrilous joke they put out last week when my horse dropped dead in his shafts, that he'd turned his head and smelt the vodka on my breath. Ha! But I'm suing both Wobbly Guts and her shaker. I'm the daughter of one colonel and the wife of another. I'm not going to be slandered by such trash.
Christoph, that sleigh! Quick, fly out in front of it! It don't slacken, you fool! In front!
Oh, yeah, whoa, come on. You lunatic, you drunken, butter-brained lunatic. What in all hell are you doing?
Silence! You have the Count Gavrila there!
Yeah, I say, Maria Alexandrovna.
Oh, I'm shocked! You promised faithfully to bring him back!
But dash it all, I was...
Count!
Oh, my dear fellow, have you been injured? Your voice has changed.
Dear Count, it is I! Please, step into my sleigh.
What? Oh, are our plans altered again?
Completely.
Well, I say you can't do this. There'll be a terrible scandal when Natalia Mitrievna gets...
There has been a scandal. You, fellow, ride with your horse and back to your mistress. And tell her that the Count is dining where he first intended, in the house where he is staying as a guest.
I say.
Yeah, go on then.
There. Now she has kidnapped her weak-headed prince, she can start on her plan with him right away. Well, after dinner, maybe. Yes, after dinner. And after dinner, there they are back in the salon, Maria and the Count. But outside in the hall...
Paul! Nastasia Petrovna.
I've just heard that woman. I'll never speak her name again without being physically sick. I've just heard her getting round Zena to consent to marry that matchstick Count.
Marry my uncle?
Shh! Come into the box from here.
Nastasia Petrovna, are you mad? Oh, what a stink. What's in this filthy hole?
Her filthy linen, some of it. And that keyhole over there. Get down now and put your ear to it.
Eavesdrop? You think I could...
Oh, you fool! I tell you, she's at him now in there, priming him with drink, working him up. Then Zena will walk in, and you'll be made the laughing stock of the province.
God, it's monstrous. If this is true...
Listen, get down and listen.
As the poet said, is the time for champagne.
Indeed, any time. That delightful lady with whom I lunched earlier...
Delightful? You can't mean Natalia Mitraevna, Count.
Yes, such plentitude there. Not a bone to be seen, so to speak.
Oh, c'est vrai. I must tell you, Count, I simply must. The name that lady is known by in our town. Calves Foot Jelly.
Calves Foot? What an extraordinary name to burden herself with.
Oh, Count, let us leave these contemptible trivialities, and let me speak on a subject that is burning my heart.
Oh, how distressing. Have you ever tried those little round pills?
Come back to society, Count. It needs you now as the earth needs rain.
Oh, does it really?
It is simply starved of the wit, culture, and breeding that you are so redolent with.
Oh, I've been told I'm redolent.
You must break. Forgive me saying this, Count. You must break from that tyrannous peasant who is now ruling your house.
But Stepanida Matveyevna's extremely useful. Gives me my bath, you know.
Dear Count, would not a young wife perform such a service? And with a singing heart.
A young wife?
That is the answer, I'm convinced. You, who have swallowed the elixir of youth, must marry again.
Yes, I frequently feel I've swallowed a youth. I mean an elixir, but again, sometimes I feel Well, my knees.
Ah, those knees, those aristocratic knees. They are no true barometers of age, Count, none. And even my daughter Zina, Count.
That exquisite child?
In whom youth burns like a forest fire.
Does it burns?
Even her knees.
Her knees?
I'm not unfamiliar with that well-bred weakness.
Merciful heavens.
But mark you, Count, there is no defect there perceptible to eye or touch. Zina's knees would grace the Venus de Milo. A mother shares such visions only with a husband, does she not?
Were I such a mother?
You admire my daughter, Count?
Oh, from the first glimpse, El Maravi.
As you have her.
I beg your pardon?
Count, it is not a woman who is sitting on this couch beside you.
No? What is it then?
A plenipotentiary. This morning in this salon, Zina took one look at you.
Did she really?
And she was refused 9 high-bred offers of marriage, found her soul split by your air of puissance.
Split?
From top to bottom, split. And now I, a disinterested messenger, must put it to you. If she in her burning beauty were to offer you herself as mentor, nurse, wife, what would you say?
Nothing.
Nothing, Count?
Nothing. I would fall upon my knees and offer her back everything.
Ah, Count, so you shall. She is sitting now alone in the servants' quarters awaiting the ring of this bell. In half a minute you will see her framed in that doorway.
Oh, what a picture.
Indeed, Count.
The Princess Nayinskaya.
Who?
Her double. Her very double. The Princess Vera Nayinskaya. Dead and rotten these 40 years.
Oh.
Swallowed a horsefly out riding one day and went out like a light.
How tragic. Zina?
Her very image.
Zina, Count Gavrila would like to speak to you. Would you not, Count? Would you not speak?
Speak? Speak? I'll fall upon my knees.
For God's sake, don't let him. Be careful, dear Count. Let me assist, though I confess my own knees. And Zina's too. Yes, yes. Gently.
Oh, ma belle Chatelaine, you are her image, her image.
You would ask for her hand, would you not, Count? Her hand?
Yes, yes, I ask for your hand, your kneecaps, everything.
Zina, There, she gives it, Count.
Her little fingers, too. I am back again in that shooting lodge. The prince dead drunk in the porch. Vera and I, saddle, soap, and kneecaps. Oh, I feel dizzy.
Mother, is ill. Let me assist you, dear Count.
Call
Lean
my
on
fellow.
me. Lean utterly on me.
Yes, yes, what bliss.
No, this way. That's the cupboard door. And the marriage will be soon?
Oh, at once, tonight, after I've had my rest.
I'll put you to rest myself, Count. It's a little premature for Zina yet.
Yes, yes. Adieu, ma belle.
Steady, dear Count. Lean on me. Utter.
Yes, yes. What premature bliss. Her very image. The very image of Vera Nayinskaya.
Paul, you were listening?
So that's what you are. That's what you are. God, I'd heard the tale about the beggar usher, but this...
How dare you speak to me like that?
How dare I? You've led me on.
Led you on?
Come back in a month, in a fortnight, and I'll let you know if you're good enough to marry me. What else do you call that?
You're quite right. I did say that. My life here had become hell, and whatever kind of a fool you appeared on the surface, I still had hopes that underneath you... Oh, what's the use? Goodbye, Paul. There is nothing more to be said. Goodbye.
Oh, Zina, I just wanted to ask you...
Mother, please let me pass. Oh, let me pass!
Paul, my dear friend, what are you doing here?
I've heard it, madam. Every syllable. I've heard it.
Who opened that box-room door? Oh, I see. I've long been aware I was harboring a viper in my bosom.
You call Nastasia Petrovna a viper.
Please
You.
sit down, Paul.
Maria Alexandrovna, you have made me a laughingstock in the eyes of half the world.
I suppose that is how it must appear to you.
Appear? If I'd gone to my godfather's tonight as you advised me, the old man had started to feel my neglect, my duty to look after my inheritance.
If you'd gone to your godfather's, Paul, you'd have heard later, openly and cleanly, all that filtered to your ear through that keyhole.
I beg to doubt it.
But since you stooped your ear to that, I've only one thing to add.
Oh, spare me nothing.
Zena loves you to distraction.
What? What did you say?
Zena loves you, Paul, to distraction. She has told me so.
You sit there and say that Zena, after what I've just been listening to...
What did she say?
Eh?
I asked you, what did you hear Zena say through the keyhole? Not a word. She was as silent as a statue.
She played her part, anyway. Played her part. Gave her hand.
Oh, yes, she gave her hand and gloated over her victory. You no doubt read that in her countenance when you came bursting in. Or did you find her instead in tears? Nay, more, ravished with grief?
Yes, she... Yeah.
Yes. That is how she is triumphing, Paul.
But why then, in heaven's name, why is she going to marry him?
Sit down.
Maria Alexandrovna, I'm dazed. You always said you were on my side, professed yourself my friend.
And I was never so much your friend, Paul, as when I sat on this couch and persuaded the Count. Now, you shall hear the truth, utterly unadorned. Zena loves you, yes, but first she must marry the Count.
Why?
Because he is rich and distinguished, and when he expires, and I know none as mortal as he at the moment, she will hold sway in the highest society.
You can sit there and tell me...
The truth unadorned. She must also marry the Count for his own sake, to save him from that vile peasant who keeps him now on a leash.
Sister of Mercy.
Do not mock till you have heard all, I beg you. Lastly, she must marry the Count for the sake of you whom she loves.
Will you explain, please?
You're a man of family, Paul, undeniably so.
Thanks.
But what's your inheritance? From your father, nothing. From your godfather, much. If he does not remarry. But our merchant is still in his 50s and as healthy as a toad, and rumour has it...
Oh, don't beat about the bush. Say it out. I'm to be flung on the dunghill to make way for the happy pair.
No, Paul. You are to join them.
Join them?
Yes, travelling companion and dear, dear friend of the family. What an exalted role yours will be. I see you indeed as a beautiful blending of St. John Chrysostom and that handsome French poet Victor Voltaire.
If you imagine I could ever consent...
And how Zena will glow to see you in that role. Of course you'll go abroad at once. The Count's health demands it. And the intimacies of travel. Have you thought? She drops a glove in her coach, say. Both of you stoop to retrieve it. Eyes meet. Souls have mated. Oh, the Count is seized with a weakness, calls for restoratives. You both rush to the door. It's a little narrow. For a moment you're pressed together. Eyes meet. Souls have mated.
Look here,
And of course you'll be thrown together completely for vast periods of time. You two young people, while the Count is occupied with his age, his ailments, and his artificial accessories. But far be it from me to counsel wrong. After all, I am a mother. And then, Paul, the end.
What end?
I see it like a beautiful icon. The Count lies expiring on his bed, Zena on one side, you on the other. He has joined your hands, and a look of blissful gratitude lights up his face for the joy you have both afforded him in his last few weeks. Oh, Paul, Paul, how could you destroy all this?
Destroy?
When you burst in just now, you attacked Zena, did you not? More like a savage beast than St. John Chrysostom and Victor Voltaire. I could hear your voice upstairs.
What have I done?
Irreparable harm, I fear. Though her love for you may still live fathoms beneath the surface, yet Zena, being what she is, will never trust you again. And most certainly never as a travelling companion.
I'll find her. I'll explain at once.
Yes, do. And finish it all. Oh, you foolish, foolish child. She's just told me she loves you. She'll guess I passed it on. And now you're going armed with this knowledge to bludgeon her. You know her pride.
Then what am I to do in heaven's name? Oh, what a fool I've been.
Perhaps. Yes, perhaps I can speak on your behalf. Later.
You would.
But I dare not tonight. Tomorrow, yes, or maybe the day after.
What shall I do till then?
Leave us, Paul. Leave us. Go at once. That would be best. Go to your godfather's. Yes, kill 2 birds. We should never be ashamed to do that. It means doing double good. I'll send your things on after you.
But Zena, you will explain I love her madly.
Oh, of course. And because of this mad, manly love, you attacked her. It's logical. And she'll see it like that in a few days' time.
Maria Alexandrovna, how can I thank you? And after the way I spoke to you, too.
Shh, my boy. Go now. I'll send your things on. Then, in a day or so, arrange all with Zena. But remember, you are going to play the loftiest role. St. John Chrysostom and Victor Voltaire. Wait. Let me make the sign of the cross over you. Now, my son, go.
What am I getting out of all this? Exactly what?
A halo, Paul, and a poet's wreath. St. John Chrysostom and Victor Voltaire.
A fool, she called me.
Zena spoke in heat.
She was right. That's what I am.
No.
And the other?
Maria Alexandrovna.
Lies as she draws breath.
True, but think of...
No, by God, that brace of bitches won't get away with this. No.
Now, who in heaven's name? Blessed heavens, Anna Nikolaevna.
And Natalia Mitrievna, old calf's foot jelly, yoked enemies of Maria.
Dear Maria Alexandrovna.
Dear Maria Alexandrovna. And to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure, ladies?
Zinaida, darling.
Good evening.
But you're pale as a corpse.
You are. Still a beauty. But a corpse.
Thank you. I'm perfectly well.
Darling, you must see the doctor. Consumption so rife just now in our province.
And so infectious. Half the children, I'm told, at the ragged school
May I ask once more, ladies, to what I owe the pleasure of your visit?
Oh, surely you can guess.
You're so good at guessing.
I confess I cannot.
The entertainment.
What entertainment?
What entertainment, she says. 3 months ago, weren't we getting up a concert for the poor?
And weren't you our president?
And now the governor himself has been saying we ladies do nothing but gossip. Oh, we can't have that. We just can't.
So here we are. Before the Count departs.
What's the Count got to do with it?
Oh, surely you know. He's crazy about amateur dramatics. He used to have a private theatre on his estate 40 years ago.
It's still there. He told me today when he came to lunch. Curtains, scenery, and even costumes.
So he must be our patron and lend us things. He simply must.
Oh, we'll plan it all tonight.
Yes, Louisa Karlovna and Varvara Pavlovna are coming along too.
Oh,
and
good,
the first thing we must do is to make...
Now the room is a singing aviary of ladies, each with a different plumage, but the same expression. A smiling, savage expectation. Unnoticed, Mr. Mozgliakov has walked into the hall and straight up the stairs.
Are you quite well, Uncle?
I don't know. I've been asleep.
So I noticed.
And I've had a most extraordinary dream.
Really?
I was with Vera Nyenskaya again. She died most tragically, you may recall, some 40 years ago after swallowing a fly. Oh, mon ami.
What is it, Uncle?
I think I've proposed.
Proposed? To whom?
With that exquisite creature, the daughter here. Or was it only in my dream?
Your dream?
She's the very image of Vera, you know.
In that case, Uncle, I'm positive you proposed in your sleep.
You are?
Yes, Uncle.
Why?
Because if you'd done it while you were wide awake, what would your relatives say?
Oh, mon ami.
2 words only, Uncle. 2 words. Lunatic asylum.
They said that once before when
I know. Then Stepanida Matveyevna was found to look after you, and you were saved. But in the light of all this, Uncle, could you ever have proposed to that girl wide awake?
No, never.
You confused her in your dream with Vera Nynskaya, that's all.
That's all? I've a flair for confusion.
All the same, Uncle, you'd better take care when you go downstairs.
Take care?
Yes. You see, you did have a lot of champagne to drink, Uncle, so you may have said something.
Yes, I nearly always say something.
But here's the point, Uncle. This girl, Zinaida, has a past.
You amaze me. A past?
Got mixed up, I'm told, with some schoolteacher oaf. And now she and her mother will stop at nothing to find her a husband.
But how vulpine.
So fix it clearly in your mind before you go down, Uncle. You only proposed in your dream.
Indeed, yes, my dream. I'll explain to them carefully. They'll be delighted.
Good evening, Maria Alexandrovna.
Paul!
I've been upstairs with Uncle.
The Count?
The Count! The Count! Look! Darling Count! What a surprise! And we were told you were fatigued.
Ladies.
We've all come especially to see you, Count, and crave your help.
My help, dear lady?
Please, my uncle's only come to say goodbye.
Yes, ladies, goodbye. I'm on my way now to, where to, my boy?
The Hermitage, Uncle.
Oh, that's it, the Hermitage, where a cow levitated in its byre last week.
No, Uncle, a monk in his cell.
Oh, yes, a monk in his cell. But he milked the cow in midair, did he not?
No, at both ends, Uncle. You told me so yourself.
Oh, that's it. I must positively see this holy man, obtain his formula, and revolutionize my dairy.
Oh, Count, you are priceless.
He is joking, of course. Count, dear Count, I trust you rested well.
Oh, delightfully.
I myself placed in your bed 3 warming pans.
What prodigality.
They must have inspired my dream. I'm always inspired to dream by a warming pan.
Oh, a dream! I'll wager it was a romantic dream. You are such a Lothario, Count.
You've guessed right. Romantic.
You were on your knees, Count, before some beauty.
A Sibyl, a prophetess.
Her name, Count, her name.
Oh, yes,
From
do
this
tell us
town?
her name. Where was she
The
from?
Princess Nynskaya. Dead and rotten these 40 years.
I know. My grandmamma used to speak of her. She was killed by a fall from a horse, was she not?
No. Choked on a horsefly. I was present. I alone. And upturned her, and shook her, and thumped her. Oh, no good. Ah, my dear child, you are her very image.
Zina is?
Her very image. Permit me, my child, to kiss your hand.
Then Zina must have figured in your dream as well.
How did you guess?
You knelt to her, too?
I confess.
Oh, you Faust, you Casanova. 2 ladies in one dream.
Oh, my child, wild tigers wouldn't have drawn your name from me if they had not guessed.
Count, it wasn't a dream.
It's true. It's true, the Count has proposed to my daughter.
Yes, madam, in his dream.
No, not in any dream. Ladies, silence, please. The moment has arrived to speak. Our dear guest has made it plain by subtle allegory, by reference to a dream, that he wants it so. I understand, dear Count. Yes. He has made my daughter, Zinaida, a proposal today. In fact, in truth, and not in any dream.
I must kiss you, Count. I positively must.
Oh, ladies.
But when, Count, and where? You should not delay 1 second.
We have not fixed the time or place yet, have we, Count?
No, one doesn't fix the time or place in a dream.
Dream? You're still on about that dream.
He most certainly is, for it was a dream.
Oh. Do you mean I'm confusing him?
Aye, madam. It was you who confused him, I think, by making him drunk today.
Drunk?
Well,
Count, I have now explained. You proposed to my daughter in waking truth.
Yes, in waking truth. I confess, when I woke up, I thought I'd proposed to 2 ladies in my dream, but now
There was no dream, Count.
No dream? But how was it then that I knelt to Vera, who's been dead and rotten for...
You knelt to my daughter Zinaida, Count.
Yes, her too. A double ecstasy in my dream. And all inspired by those warming pans.
It was not a dream. I beg you to realize, Count, we're a genteel family.
family.
Of course, genteel.
Won't be made a monkey of for any count, exalted though his house may be.
Oh, good heavens, no, you must never be made a monkey of.
You proposed to my daughter in no dream, but on that spot, on this carpet, before my 2 eyes. And you use such extraordinary words, you cannot now gainsay them.
No, I cannot gainsay it.
You said, and these were your very words, you said, I ask your hand and your kneecaps too.
Kneecaps?
That is the extraordinary expression you use, and you cannot now deny it.
Oh, my dear Paul.
Uncle?
If I said kneecaps...
You most certainly did.
Uncle, remember?
Then it was truly a dream.
What?
I had begun, I confessed, to be a little doubtful.
Oh, kneecaps! Explain away your kneecaps if you can.
Yes, calm yourself, dear lady.
Yes, calm yourself, Maria Alexandrovna. I'm sure the dear Count has a very simple explanation. Go on, Count. Kneecaps?
Yes, if I mentioned them, it certainly was an exquisite dream. For you see, when Vera Nainskaya swallowed that horsefly...
Merciful God, if you mention that creature again.
Shh! Go on, Count. When she swallowed the horsefly?
I alone was at hand to upend her. But I found, upside down, there was nothing at all I could grip on. Ladies, you know, in some positions... But then, blessed guidance, I discovered her kneecaps, those exquisite knobs, and I clapped my hands over them, comme ça, and pressed her precious calves to my chest as I...
Air! I'm choking. Air! Zena, for pity's sake.
Fainting now to save her face.
Zena!
Stop it, Mother, stop it at once. I've had enough of this farce and this filth.
Zena, what are you...
I'm going to tell the truth.
Child, for the sake of Christ.
The Count was made drunk, and it was in that state he proposed to me.
Raving. She's sick in mind.
Someone sick in mind, but I rather
My
think
mother
did it because of me. And I allowed her because... Oh, never mind. I was as much to blame and more to blame. I allowed it.
Revelation.
Oh, you little...
We wronged you, Count, cruelly. Now I can only beg forgiveness. On my knees.
Oh, no, child, please get up.
But I swear I would have kept my bargain to the death. As your wife, I mean. I'd have been everything, anything, I swear.
Oh, don't distress yourself, mademoiselle. Please get up.
And you, Paul, I treated you badly. Very well. Now you've repaid me with interest. And if that pleases you...
No! Oh, God, I've been a swine, Zena, a swine. It was all my fault. But I'll make it all right, I swear. Listen, everyone. Listen. It was I who first
Yes, it was you, you pig. It was you. Oh, I could open your cheeks with my nails. I could... Hold her!
What a lady!
Where is this dowager?
Sophia Petrovna!
Drunk as a boya! Out of my way!
Leave him! You get out of my house! You're drunk!
What you are, madam, would rot my tongue to say.
So, your chick's to couple with the matchstick prince, and I'm not even asked to the betrothal.
Let me get to the bell. The bell!
I that brought you the news that he was coming. And that lady you christened Calf's Foot Jelly.
That's me!
Ran off with him this morning. But what do I care? I'm a colonel's daughter. Keep your reception. Keep your mannequin counts.
Merciful heavens, what people!
Oh, don't you what people me, you clickety-clackety idiots.
Get me out of here, my boy, get me out. They're worse than the fishwives of Genoa.
How dare you, Count, call us names like that?
But you call yourselves names. Crow's feet jelly.
Oh, you'd insult me too, would you, you glass-eyed goat?
Quelle société! Take me away, Paul.
We're as good as you, Count. Better! What are you, anyway?
Your guest, madam, at least.
Glued, botched, stuck together from wigs to boots.
Mother!
Call that hair?
Merciful God! Madam, return me my wig!
That's him. That's your princey king. Not enough buttock, they say, to sit on his chamber pot without medical aid. Strip him and see.
Lady! Oh, Mina! Take me out, my boy, Mina!
Alexandrovna.
This is an outrage. Get out.
You're the first to know. You're the first to know.
Get out. Grishka, see this gentleman out of my house. Grishka.
My uncle's dead. The Count is dead. Just after I got him to the monks last night, collapsed. He collapsed. Inflammation of the brain. Due to a moral shock, the doctor said. Moral shock. Ha ha! Your servant, madam.
Maria sits down again, but does not take up her needlework. To whom can she turn? It is a little difficult. Last night, not an hour after the bacchanalia in the salon, a woman, dressed in the meanest black clothes, came to the servants' quarters and asked for Zenaida. A maid fetched her. A word was spoken, and Zina snatched up one of the servants' cloaks and followed the woman. They went across the town and into a house, or rather a hovel, where Vasha, the consumptive schoolmaster, the woman's son, lay dying. Oh, no jaunt to Spain or anywhere else could have cured him. An hour ago this morning, Zina left the hovel and walked home. Just what had happened in there? Well, from the petrified face, we might hazard this much. The dead man gave her a keepsake for life. His despair, his hate, and, of course, his love. Let another night come over her, too, and bring what comfort it can. A new morning, and our Count is going home. Back from the monastery where he arrived too late to see the wonderful cow. Back to his own estate for burial. His way lies, happily, straight through our town and past the front door of his last hostess on earth. Oh, what a cortege. The town has turned out almost to a man. Monks from the monastery, local clergy, and the Count's own relatives. A severe group this. Walking ahead of everyone, and just behind the bier, is a great giant of an archimandrite. A relative too, no doubt. But he seems more like... Good heavens. No, it's not a priest. It's not a man. Of course. It's Stepanida Matveyevna, the Count's body servant. Her great frame is bowed, and her old face is hacked in living grief.
Mother, come over here.
Draw that curtain. Draw it. Are you mad?
Look, there, Mother, there. There he is. What's left of him? In that. Turn your head away, Mother, and I'll twist it back. Shut your eyes and I'll prise them open. Look! Look there! What we murdered!
No.
Murdered, Mother! He might have lived for another half hour or another 100 years, but that doesn't matter. We murdered him!
No.
And look, Mother. That great peasant walking blind. She must be the one who gave him love. And life. The one you reviled.
Draw that curtain. I can't bear. They're all staring.
Let them stare. They said you should have knelt to the open coffin to beg forgiveness. They were right.
Zina, you frighten me.
I'm glad. I'm glad I frighten you, Mother, for neither God nor hell has done so before. And that's how it shall be from now on.
Zina.
That's how it shall be.
That is how it shall be.